Do it,
hit the
do
button,
it.
so that says we're streaming.
But what about the moo cow? And what about the hay?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm the hated milk machine.
Alrighty.
So good.
Classic.
Pop out the cat here.
Pop
Why
out
can't
the
people
cat.
keep their willies out of holes?
Pop out the Shah.
Le chat.
Mhm. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Ugh.
Hello and welcome to episode 728 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. I am your host, Chris Johnston, and with me as always from Canada, Mr. Greg Seward.
Hello.
How's it going, sir?
It's going pretty good. How's it going with you?
It's going great.
We had a just so you know, your I don't even know how to describe the three-ring circus that is your government has had positive effects here in that we just had a municipal election and I think it was like a record voter turnout.
Oh,
All
yeah?
right.
Yeah.
Are they
And we weren't
voting
really
for the
even we weren't like
US
troubled in any
president?
way. We were just I'm just saying, although we did have a local celebrity running for mayor.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Yeah.
He's a TikTok star.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep. He didn't
So
win.
they won, right?
So
oh, wait.
thank goodness for that. Because I mean, we have a bit of an idea of what it's like to have a completely, somebody not suited for a job but happens to be a celebrity. You want to put them in a position of power.
Right.
Of course. And joining me from the great state of Washington is Mr. Phil Theobald.
Hello, Allison.
Hello, sir. Wait, what?
Oh, that's a good song.
I want to hold your hand. I haven't been the same man since I saw you coming in. Let's have a toast to the girl in aisle 10.
Okay.
I seen you about 9:15. You shine like a neon sign. Where are you from? You float like an angel at night until you light and leave me with a song to write.
Who so far has guessed that we were talking about Jet Set Radio just before we started recording?
We were talking about a little Jet Set Radio before we said
We're talking about Sega.
we were.
Sega.
We were.
Yeah.
Good song.
How's it going? Thank you. It was
Yeah. Did you write that?
it was one of my better ones, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
You're gonna release an album later?
It's gonna
I don't
be
think the
on
world's
my
ready for that.
it's gonna be on my SoundCloud.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going just great. It's getting cold up here. Getting,
Yeah?
little cold.
Okay.
Little fall, winter
Well,
happening.
I see you have your cuddly bathrobe on, so you're looking very plush and ready for the cold weather.
He's not wearing a bathrobe.
No, I'm not though.
They don't know this is an audio thing for the most part.
For the
Does
most
that mean you
part.
started wearing pants for the show, or are you still naked from the waist down?
No comment.
It's not that
really.
cold.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Do women know about shrinkage? Or
What'd you say?
nothing?
What did you say?
I asked if women know about shrinkage.
Oh, no ladies ever watched Seinfeld.
No.
No.
No. That was a boy show.
All right
Yeah.
then.
I don't know. Goodness great. Hey, speaking of television shows,
Yeah.
I have been watching on Netflix a television show called, and you might want to beep this. It's got a vaguely dirty word
Uh-huh.
in here. Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
Have you seen that show? Have you heard of that show?
I have seen Schitt's Creek. Yes.
I have not seen that show before, but we
Another
started
wonderful
watching
Canadian show.
it. It is. Boy, those Canadians. They know their way.
You were watching Letterkenny as well, right?
I did. I ended up kind of bouncing off of Letterkenny though.
Really? I really
Yeah.
thought you'd. I mean, I could see that. It's
Here's
it's
my
a great
thing.
show.
Oh, you know what? Plowed through the first season, absolutely adored it.
Yeah.
Thought it was the absolute best, hilarious. And it got through the second season, kind of
It does start to
started.
taper off a little.
And well, you know what the problem was? It was like, Letterkenny seems built on kind of running gags. That seems to be kind of its bread and butter.
Yeah.
And it just seemed kind of like by the time we were dipping into the early season 3, it was just the same dozen or so.
They're doubling down on the gags by that
Yeah.
point. Like, and it's it's not that it's not funny,
Right.
but you're right. Like if you've kind of had enough of that, you're not getting more.
Yeah, that's.
know what
I
I
mean, it
mean?
was
Like-
just kind of like, I was just, okay, here the hockey players are all gonna go through their
Right. Like what is it? Forzy is the character.
that they-
Constantly harasses them. So it's literally, I mean, they're all new jokes, but it's literally
Yeah.
the same setup and the same
but yeah,
punchline. And
it's like,
But
they're all doing the same
yeah,
gag.
I
It's just
found
like,
I found with that show that I loved the first. I was like you. I loved the first season. Couldn't stop
Yeah.
watching the first season.
right.
I really liked the second season, and then, but about halfway through that,
Mhm.
I figured and I don't really binge watch. I usually watch
Right.
one episode of something, but I
Yeah.
will get into a situation where I'll watch it daily.
Yeah.
And that show is better not watched daily.
Yeah, that really seemed to be the case because we were watching about 2 episodes an evening.
yeah.
And
And after a while,
you know,
that's too much.
and again, yeah, like I said, the first season, hilarious. I adored it. Second season, I was like, okay, still watching it. And then, yeah, like we watched the first couple episodes of season 3 and was just like, yeah, we've seen this.
But I will say, and I forget I forget the writer's name. He's
Right.
he
The
plays
guy
the
who
main
plays
character as well.
Wayne, yeah.
His writing is, I really enjoy his writing.
Oh
a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
And his delivery too. Like, especially, I think at the beginning of every season is when they have those, because they do cold opens on that show.
right.
And I think the season opening cold open it's one long sort of word salad, but I think it's alphabetical. I think every line starts
that-
with the next letter
yeah,
of the
that's-
alphabet.
Yeah.
And I'm always really impressed by it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, he's a brilliant writer, and yeah, his delivery is impeccable. And I liked all the actors. I loved all the
Mm.
characters.
Yeah.
It was really, everything was great, but it just kind of ended up being the same thing
Really
over and
reminded me
over
of
and
a
over
Prairie's
again.
version. It really reminded me of a Prairie's version of Trailer Park Boys.
Oh yeah,
Pretty big here. So
yeah.
Hmm.
But no, I'm we're almost finished with season 2 of Schitt's Creek right now,
Oh, okay.
and it's really
It's
good.
so funny.
and what that show has that that Letterkenny absolutely doesn't have and doesn't need.
Chris
is
Elliott.
That show also has what's that? Sorry?
Does have Chris Elliott.
True.
Everything's better with Chris Elliott.
It does have Chris Elliott, which I love that he's on
I
that
don't know
show.
about everything.
I know,
don't
right?
for some reason, he really sticks out on that show to
Yeah.
me. It's
Yeah.
like because everybody else I kind of
Yes.
see, and it's like, oh yeah, all these this cat, and he's cast well too, but it's just
Yeah.
like he
Well,
really
it's-
stands out.
Chris Elliott's purpose is to kind of stand out in whatever he's in.
Exactly.
To be just as awkward as possible at all
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
That's a good. No, but that show has some very sweet moments in it.
That holy crap,
Like really sweet moments.
it's kind of mind blowing because it's remember this was a show.
absurd.
Remember when the show used to be about video games? But
True.
Watching that show, it has kind of an Arrested Development vibe to it because it's
Yeah.
about
And that the characters are horrible people.
kind of horrible rich people brought down.
Yeah.
and now they're learning to cope with
And like for the first season, that's the gag.
yeah,
That's the
sure.
main gag.
but whereas everyone on Arrested Development is different shades of awful,
Yep.
the main characters in Schitt's Creek are underneath it actually pretty decent people,
Uh-huh.
and so you get to have those kind of sweet moments where you're just kind of like out of nowhere. Like what did we the episode in season 2 where the daughter in the family, she gets dumped by
Yeah.
her boyfriend,
Yeah.
and she goes back to the hotel, and and her brother is asking her what's wrong, and they end up having what is a shockingly touching, heartfelt little
Yeah.
moment, and you're just like, this is
And
a
normally-
really well done show.
And normally the whole point of those two characters sharing a scene at any time is to just verbally spar with one another.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
Right.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
just it. I
Very
mean,
true.
like the character growth on that show,
Yeah,
I just wasn't ready for it because I just
Right.
expected it to be a stupid comedy that didn't
Well, 'cause-
really go anywhere.
because it's a really funny show.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
funny show.
Yeah. But then you also have like the I had to look up the character names, unfortunately, but the relationship that builds between David and Stevie.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh
It
yeah.
almost
Yeah.
feels like a love interest, but it's not really. It's just
But it
a
kind
wonderful
it's
friendship,
so,
but it's like a
so
platonic love
close.
interest.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, it's a great show, and Catherine
It
O'Hara
really
is
is.
amazing
yeah,
as
of
always.
course.
Yeah.
in
Jesus
anything
Christ,
she
yeah,
does.
Captain O'Hara is so good, and I mean, everyone in that show is great,
Yeah.
Everyone's
But
yeah.
she really
like-
chews up the scenery anytime she's on.
and like half of the people are Eugene Levy's family,
yeah, that's true.
because it's like what David, the son in the family, is actually Eugene, because Eugene Levy's the dad in
and
the show,
Twyla is his daughter Sarah.
and Twyla, yeah, the woman who works at the
Yeah,
diner, yeah,
Tropical.
yeah, it's such a good show though.
Yeah, highly recommended.
Yeah.
I haven't
Absolutely.
watched.
I forget.
latest
We've
season.
talked about this before. Have you guys watched Party Down? Have we talked?
I
discussed this?
love
Party Down.
love Party Down.
And especially like it when it was on the air and the actors were pretty much nobodies.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
one thing, and now
'Cause
like
what-
everybody from that show has gone on to doing
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
good
well,
stuff.
Yeah, because I mean that was before Adam Scott was on Parks and Rec. So
yeah.
nobody, he was nobody, and
He had been in Step Brothers, but that was pretty much it.
yeah, and then oh gosh, what's her name? The lead in that show, the female lead on Party Down.
I'm just gonna let you,
Lizzie Kaplan.
Lizzie Kaplan, yeah.
Lizzie Did you know that? You didn't know that, did you?
I did. I just
you
wanted
did-
to
you
see
couldn't remember-
struggle
no,
with it.
You absolutely could not remember her name. That's why you were like, oh, I'm
I'm
just gonna.
terrible with names too. That's why.
Yeah,
I'm
Lizzie
looking all up.
Lizzie Kaplan.
Lizzie
She's
Kaplan.
great in that.
She's great. That show is great. If
Yeah,
you
Party
don't,
Down
if you've
is-
not watched Party Down, go find that.
It's only 2 seasons.
and Schitt's Creek too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's only 2 seasons. It was just on that cusp of where streaming became a thing, where television shows got canceled, whether they
Mhm.
were critically acclaimed or not, because
Right.
nobody watched them.
Right.
I think it's different up here because of Canadian broadcasting standards and all that. That we have to have a certain amount of Canadian content.
Oh,
right, right, right.
Shows like Schitt's Creek get
You have
to
another
sort
season
of
of Blue
live.
Bloods.
Yeah.
Get to live for a while. Like we had I don't know if Corner Gas ever became a thing down there too, but
Never heard of
that
it.
that's a comedy show that's based out in the prairies. I forget the name of the guy who wrote it. He's just a stand-up comedian, but it's a show like if you, for me personally, like I watched it a couple times. Like I don't get why this is a thing, except that it's a Canadian show on
Oh,
CBC,
really?
and
Mm.
you know they'll just let it go. Kim's Convenience is another one up here that
Oh, that's on Netflix.
that people do
Is
seem
it?
to like, but I've never really gotten into.
Yeah.
But if I feel like those shows last longer up here, the Canadian made shows, just because we have certain laws that say you have to have a certain amount of content.
right.
okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
But it's good, right? I mean, it's a good thing because then there's how many
Sure.
shows can you think of that didn't find their feet fast enough to keep from being canceled?
Right.
That
So
could
many.
have gone for seasons once they really
So
started
many.
gelling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Indeed.
Oh man.
Anyway, should we talk about some video game news? I think we should.
I know. I'm kind of enjoying
Was
this
there any?
Canadian television discussion.
Let's talk
Want
about
to talk about
Can't Do That on
Degrassi? We
television.
can talk about Degrassi.
Let's absolutely talk about Degrassi. I've never actually
Degrassi.
seen Degrassi, so
Me neither.
Brent Butt. That's the name of the comedian who did Corner Gas. That is
Really?
his name, Phil.
oh, is it Brent Butt.
Brent Butt.
Okay.
Yeah.
CJ's best friend Mike's in the chat telling us the
Ah.
There you go. Yeah.
Uh,
Since we were talking about Sega before the show, let's talk. Just continue on with that. So Sega, of course, celebrating their 60th anniversary,
yep.
and as such, they're doing a big Steam sale, and they also released some free games on Steam. There's a Streets of Kamurocho,
Yep.
sort of Streets of Rage Yakuza
And the-
mashup.
and these
thing.
aren't full games.
not full games. No,
Streets
these
of
are like
Kamurocho is only 2 levels long.
right
Yeah.
demos or special things.
Right.
Then you've got Golden Axed as well.
Yep. Yep. which is a
So
single level prototype of a canceled Golden Axe game.
correct. And Endless Zone, a sort of riff on Fantasy Zone, but endless. Is it endless?
I don't know.
I mean,
I didn't even know what it was.
Kamurocho is endless, right?
It's
So,
a Fantasy Zone
think
thing.
Fantasy Zone, Endless Zone. Yeah, it's a Fantasy Zone
Okay,
thing.
okay.
Then Armor of Heroes, which is like a special version of Company of Heroes.
Ah,
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah,
And I'm less interested in that. But
yeah.
yeah. Of
Does,
interest to you guys is Endless Zone, Streets of Kamurocho, and Golden Axe.
Does Endless Zone have the Fantasy Zone theme song in it?
I have no idea.
Because let me tell you, that Fantasy Zone music, some of the best, catchiest video game music of all time.
be honest, I was never a Fantasy Zone fan,
Opa.
so I couldn't
Right.
even tell you what that sounds like.
Blah, dun, 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 dun,
See,
dun,
even
dun,
yeah, right,
I
right,
have
okay.
never played
dun,
much
dun,
Fantasy
dun,
Zone at
dun.
all, and I know the song.
Yep, okay, I remember it now.
Of course, some of these games were released. They were released like in conjunction with the 60th birthday, and they won't be available anymore after the 19th of October. So basically, if you're
So
listening
like
to this on the
Nintendo.
20th, sorry you can't download them.
Too
anymore.
bad.
Yeah.
Good luck waiting around for the 120th anniversary when these go up again.
Yeah, but there was controversy. One of the titles, Golden Axed,
Yes.
is a playable prototype of a pitch for an updated Golden Axe game that didn't go through. It was from 2012, I guess. And there's quite a Twitter thread from some of the former developers of that game, not terribly pleased with how it's been framed and how the project itself was managed when it was in production. So
Yeah.
I'll link to that in the show notes, but it doesn't sound great.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer read, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the idea that they are, and by they I mean Sega, are kind of unleashing some of these early canceled prototypes into the wild. I think that's actually a really cool thing for a game company to do.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
but yeah, the way they framed it, the way that they apparently released it, the game has no credits, so there's no, the people who actually worked on the game aren't actually receiving credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
Sega claimed to have reached out to, quote unquote, some of the
developers.
original development team, but not actually like the couple people who actually
Sure.
did the programming for it. And yeah, so it's a little unfortunate the way they handled it, but I really like that that they're making those available.
Yeah. It's too bad that it's too bad that there's a fallout for this because they didn't
Yeah.
handle the framing of it
Well,
properly.
Fallout's a different company. That's not
Because,
Sega.
yeah.
That's
Well,
Bethesda.
Fallout's not a company either, but
Shows you how much Phil knows
The
about
Fallout company.
Fallout company.
Yeah,
no, that's Sega.
they make those
the-
Vault Tech games.
Make
Yeah.
those Vault.
But I
Tech
agree.
games
You're right. Like it's a cool idea, and I mean they would
and
have to
Fallout
say
guys.
even the language that they use, like they would clearly have to say it's buggy because if I haven't played it, but it's a prototype.
Right.
It's supposed to be
Yeah.
buggy,
It was a
Right.
prototype that was also done in 2 weeks.
Right.
So,
So,
I mean, it's real
Well,
early.
people just downloading things from Steam aren't necessarily going to understand what a vertical slice is.
Right.
well, yeah, but I think this is kind of
is,
cool in the fact that you could tell them what that's what this is, and
Yeah.
I mean, not having credits in it. I mean, I could see the argument for the other side of that, where it's not a complete product and where it might be very buggy.
Right.
Maybe people wouldn't want their names attached to it. There's that as well.
That's true.
But what should have happened is they should have, especially because, like you said, Phil, I mean, we were sitting here talking about this before the show, and it sounds like it might have been 4 or 5 people involved at most, and that would be including like producers and
Right.
and a designer and things like that. That maybe reach out and ask them if they'd like their names on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't
But if they're no
necessarily do
longer
anything
with the
wrong.
company
Sega
and
owns
they
the
don't
thing,
even
they own the
know
thing.
who worked on
Yeah.
it, it could get a little difficult to trace that
Right.
back,
No, absolutely. Well, maybe.
depending on how good Sega is at that stuff.
Right.
Sure.
So, but I mean,
Yeah.
still, I do like that this is the type of thing they're doing for this anniversary celebration. I think they're doing a good job with this so far. And like we were looking at the sales and something like almost 60 Genesis classics that are on Steam are like $10 right now. All the Dreamcast stuffs, like 7 of those are like $12 right now. So
yeah,
bring it on.
Happy anniversary to Sega. Speaking of the 16-bit era, Analog has announced their new piece of hardware. It is a FPGA system that recreates the Turbo Duo. So Turbo graphics, PC Engine, CD stuff, Super Graphics stuff will all run on this machine. I think this is the first Analog hardware to have a CD-ROM interface, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I love that this is becoming a thing.
Runs everything turbo, and it's going to be $199. Comes out in 2021, and they'll let us know when pre-orders open.
Limited pre-orders.
Yep.
Which
you have a white system and a sort of space gray and purple thing.
Is the darker one that's kind of looks more like a Duo, right?
Well, it's the American colors and the Japanese colors is basically how they're selling it on their site,
American,
I think.
And,
so like, I think it was the Duo R or something, wasn't it, in Japan that was all, or maybe they all were all white. I don't know, but they were all white.
Yeah.
And then of course here it was released in
gray,
black,
kind of grayish,
grayish. Yeah.
So although, boy, if judging by the pre-orders for the Pocket, don't expect to actually get one of these because there'll be like 5 available, and
that's and one of the guys I follow, Chris Alimo, he sort of called that out immediately. It's like already we're talking about the limited numbers. Like, can we not gauge, do pre-orders and sort of gauge it on that and do different runs of them? Yeah. Well, which, I mean, Analog's done in the past, because I know when I finally got around to buying an NT and an SG, they were just available. It was well past the time that they've been launched. Right. Like, and I didn't have to wait for them, but I'm hoping that's what happens eventually with the Pocket and this is interesting. But I mean, it sounds like the Polymega is pretty good too. So I don't know that I'll actually be going for this thing because my Turbo collection isn't big enough to warrant buying, like my Super Nintendo and Genesis collections definitely were big enough to warrant buying those. But
I have a pretty decent Turbo library, so I would not mind getting one of these, but I don't want to necessarily deal with the hassle of it. And then did you see that they're doing an adapter for the Analog Pocket?
That's cool.
That lets you play the Hue cards on there.
Yeah,
essentially turning it into a Turbo Express, which
I wonder $29 for that.
Yeah, I wish I could get a Pocket for the like 7 people who have who are on the list to get an Analog Pocket. Good for you, I guess. But I'm glad they're announcing add-ons for this system that nobody has or can indeed get.
True.
But I mean, then you can finally grab one of those and try to play Neutopia on the small screen and remember that you can't read the text in Neutopia on the small screen.
There you go.
That was a big problem with the Express for anyone listening who doesn't get that joke. The Turbo Express's screen is quite small.
It was a tiny little screen.
Was it smaller than Game Boy? No, it was about the same size. It was the same size as the Game Boys.
Was it?
I think.
Okay, I
but
can't.
Either way,
I remember.
It was the same thing on the Game Gear when the Master System converter came out.
Oh yeah.
For that, and you tried to play like Phantasy Star and realize, oh wait, this text wasn't built to be seen on like a 2.5-inch screen.
Yeah, it would be great if they did a version of the Mega SG with a CD-ROM drive to play Sega CD stuff. I mean,
the Mega SG will attach to a Sega CD.
Yeah, but my Sega CD is broken.
No, I get that. I don't know, like, yeah. Once you get into all the CD-ROM stuff, it's interesting to see Analog doing it, because once you're getting into the optical drive situation, you got so many more moving parts and so many more chances for it to not work well.
Yeah.
You do, but then there's also a chance they'll do Saturn and PlayStation and Dreamcast after this, right?
Yeah. Although again, like it sounds like the Polymega is a pretty good product. I was watching Victor Lucas do he's done a couple reviews on it now. I think he's had the thing for about a month, and basically saying like everything he throws at it seems to run wonderfully.
Huh.
So excited about that and I actually just got a letter or an electronic
Like in the mail?
letter, an email last week saying that they were getting ready to ship my pre-order on that. So
Nice.
excited to check it out. And then I want them to have 3DO support, and then I'll be really happy.
3DO support.
Yeah, 3DO support. My 3DO needs a new drive, and I don't want to do it.
Well, we also got the first details about the PlayStation 5's user interface. Not through a Burger King promotion like some people thought, but instead via a state of play video that came out on Thursday. So this video was hosted by Sid Schumann, and he kind of went through some of the user-facing features of the PS5 that is meant to improve the experience, improve the gameplay experience. They kind of went heavy into that, like we want to get you right into your games and optimize your gaming time. We don't want to waste time with any interface stuff. And
thank goodness all the third parties have been putting up those EULAs that you have to scroll through and accept before you actually play. But
yeah, what happens
Sorry.
if you decline those? It just boots you out of the game.
I assume the game just doesn't start. I don't know.
I assume so. Why do they have to have you agree? Can't there be an option to just auto agree to everything?
No, but then they can't prove that you scrolled through the whole thing.
But they also can't prove that you read any of it.
Doesn't
No,
matter.
they
If you
don't- they
scroll
don't
through
care
it,
about
then
that.
the
They
onus
I
is
don't care
on
about
you.
that.
Yeah.
Right. You pushed the controller, the analog stick down to scroll through the whole thing,
Yes.
and you pressed the X button to confirm.
Mhm.
So the PlayStation 5 UI has a couple of really interesting tweaks. The one they really highlighted here was the idea of cards. So while you're playing a game, you can bring up this menu that gives you sort of context sensitive activities to do in a game, or to communicate with your friends. So if there's a party chat active, or a friend of yours is streaming, it'll come up as a card. They showed off the card sort of guides in Sackboy. They had like a strategy video that would help you if you were having problems completing a level. You could bring up a video to show you
Fan
how
of
to
that.
do it, which is great. Although the videos are a PlayStation Plus feature, which is a catch on that. Like, I love the functionality, and I think that's like a great way to, help people through like tough sections of video games. But if it's a PlayStation Plus only feature, I really question how many publishers or developers are going to use it. And also they have like they estimate the time that it'll take you to do some of these actions. So they're not even trophies necessarily. It's like complete level 1, level 2, level 3. It'll tell you like, oh, you have about 10 minutes left to fully complete this level. And apparently that's like a personalized estimated time. Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And they have like progress bars for achievements, or trophies, I should say, not achievements.
Do you know what your new trophy score is, by the way?
It's 270 something.
Okay.
Yeah. What's yours?
I think it's 322.
Okay.
What is this?
It's quite a jump from 12.
Yeah. So yeah,
Anyway, we'll get to that later. Sorry, I skipped this.
I don't know anything about this trophy stuff.
No, this happened like a week or 2 ago, and we
Oh.
just never talked about it on the show. So
I'm
Sony
not paying attention.
adjusted.
This would involve me paying attention to trophies.
Oh, and
Well,
neither
yeah.
do I. But they made a big deal about the fact that they were updating the trophy scores and
System.
progression.
Oh, really?
The system.
Yeah, they basically changed it around so that now it's it was like a 1 to 100 scale, or
Yeah, it was
something
ridiculous,
like that.
and
It was-
everybody's been stuck in the teens for like years.
everybody's been stuck in the teens forever.
Okay.
They did away with that, and they made it I don't know, different somehow. I don't know what the end of the scale is, but I changed from being like 12 or 13 to being 270 something.
301, according
There you
to
go.
me logging into
301.
PlayStation.com. I have 3 platinum trophies. Look at that.
I think I have 2.
I'm trying to remember what.
One is the
I've-
Sly Cooper collection.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
I believe one of them is the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection. I think which was one of the games I did some writing in.
Mhm.
One of them is the Snoopy game for PS4, and I don't know what the other one is. So maybe like, did Walking Dead have a platinum trophy?
I don't think so, but I don't remember.
Oh.
Don't
It'd be nice if
know,
I could click
probably.
on the little platinum trophy icon and it would show them
Tell
to me,
you?
but you can't do that apparently.
Apparently not.
Anyway,
Anyway, sorry, we've really derailed this. I'm sorry. I feel kind of bad about that. Not too bad, but
That's okay. That's
yeah,
okay.
don't feel
Kinda
bad.
bad.
Don't feel bad.
there's,
Okay, I'm over it.
One of Xbox's big features in with the Series X and Series S is quick resume, right?
Mhm.
And while Sony did not talk about it in this particular video, when they bring up the little dashboard, you can see like an icon at the bottom, and they kind of go over it with the control pad, so you can see the name of it. It's called the Switcher, just called Switcher, and so they haven't said like that's obviously for switching games, but they haven't said whether that's like a quick resume type of thing or what that might be exactly. Because when they do switch games in the video, they go all the way back to the home screen first before doing it. So,
I
they
wanted
changed
to
the party
sorry.
system as well.
Yeah, which is already
And-
active, right?
Which what?
Which I think they've already done. Like that's active on the PS4.
They've already done it on the PS4, yeah, with the
Yeah.
system software update 8.0, which people are up in arms about, and we'll talk about that in a second. But so inside message groups, you can invite people to party chat. You can type messages using dictation, which I think is pretty cool. Like if you want to
That's
send
cool.
a quick message, and of course the DualSense has a microphone on it.
I never
Yeah.
really considered doing, but man, my kids, like when they use Google on a phone or something, that's the
Yeah.
only way they do it.
They only
really?
do
The
dictation.
thing. Yeah. Dictation.
Oh, interesting. And then the other thing that I think is cool is developers can like tag screenshots that you may send to others in parties as spoilers. Like if a person has not played that particular game or played up to that point, you can mark it as a spoiler for whoever might be viewing it.
Oh, that's
So I'm
kinda
assuming
cool.
that's like an automated thing based on checking a save file of the person you're sending it to, or like
I assume it's sort of tied in with the whole like
Trophy progression or
context sensitive hints and sort of progression tips that it gives you. I assume games now will know much more about how far you are into it and be able to report that
Right.
back to the system,
Hmm.
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But interesting stuff. So yeah, they changed how parties work on the PlayStation 4 as well as on the PS5. So parties are going to be more like discussion threads now, where you have to invite the people you want to talk with into that chat, and it's kind of like Discord. Like if I invite you into a Slack or a Discord, you'll be able to see the entire message history.
Oh, is that the difference?
That's part of the difference.
Okay.
So people who were using party chat to play with randoms on Call of Duty, like you can do that still, but you have to like invite that user to a particular chat, and it stays active. Like the party chat doesn't like go away once
Okay.
once you're done, once you leave the group.
Hmm.
So that has people up in arms that parties are not working like they
I don't understand because like I don't use it a lot, but like for the GT Sport series that we do every other Friday, and then also on the alternate Fridays, I get together with a couple of our people in our community to play F1. So
Yeah.
this past Friday was the first time that I had messed with the new chat system or the new party system, but it didn't feel that different from what the old one, how the old one worked, other than I had to name it.
Yeah, and the only other difference is that it is if you have like a discussion group set up, then party chats are based off of discussion groups. So if you already had that,
Oh,
then
okay.
you weren't really using it any differently than you were previously, I guess.
No, I really wasn't, because like before what would happen is I would say I want to start a party, and then it would do that, and it would ask me if it was a private or public, right? And then so I would have set it to private, and you give it a little some kind of moniker.
Yeah.
And then when the party had started, then you could invite people. Right? Now
Now it just invites everybody.
that no,
in the
that
discussion
process is
group.
all rolled into one. So when I went to start a group, I had to name the group, and then it's like, and who do you want to invite? And
Right.
then it gave me a list of my friends.
Oh, okay.
Out the 2 people I wanted to invite, but then otherwise it was exactly the same. But I mean, maybe clearly I don't use the party system to its fullest extent anyway.
Right,
So
right.
I remember thinking like, and I was talking about it with the people I was playing with, where it's like it's different, but it really just felt like all they did was roll a couple of steps up into one big step at the beginning
They
of
did,
the
yeah,
creation.
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
But then also that big step is just
setting
gonna
about it.
it's gonna persist now going forward. You'll just be able to like open up that group and start the live chat.
Yes, and see, that's what I was curious about. And if that's the case, then that's awesome,
That is the case.
because
some,
that means
some people don't like that.
okay, because that means like 2 weeks from now, I just choose to make that group active again, and
Yes.
or whatever it is, right? Get into that group again, and then I don't have to send invites. Great,
That's right.
Okay.
That's
Saves me
exactly
2
it.
steps. You know,
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
So of course we're angry about it. I'm sure there's more to
course
it,
we're angry
because
about
I'm sure we didn't use those groups to the extent that they could be used. So I'm sure there's something that's down. There's a downside.
I'm sure there's a
There's always a
downside. Yeah. It sounds like people who are inviting, randoms to a party for like one game of Call of Duty or whatever, they have to do a lot more
Sure.
setup
Ah,
and then like leave the discussion group in order to get away from that.
Yeah. See, I guess I never play with randoms, so I don't care.
I know.
So
They also apparently are allowing users to record audio from party chats now, and in case you have to report a user,
oh,
or
really?
voice
You can
chat
record it.
in a party. So it's recorded locally. Sony had to clarify that they're not listening in on your discussions. And if another user in that party is going to report you, they can select a segment of the conversation from the last 5 minutes and report that. And it sort of it takes whatever 20-second clip and then 10 seconds off of the beginning and end and reports that off to Sony. So I guess there wasn't a way to do that before, and they've added it.
probably not.
But people were up in arms about that as well, because
Why?
they were thinking that Sony was monitoring
Oh, okay. That's
party audio,
and what
which is not the case.
which I think is, I mean, yes, sure, but I mean, you don't think your phone's listening to you right now?
right, exactly. Your Echo speaker there.
Hey,
listening to you.
do the old test. Go talk to somebody about something that you never search for on Google,
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
and then wait for the ads to show up in Facebook.
Oh, absolutely.
That happens all the time.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
Although now on iOS, it's supposed to, there's like a little red
Whatever.
icon
yeah.
at the top when the microphone is active. But
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah,
I
we'll
hate,
see.
to go, I hate to go all tinfoil hat, but no, all the microphones in your life are on,
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
and there's
Yeah,
a lot of
basically.
them.
I mean, you want to say that you hope this sort of keeps people accountable for the things that they say, and even in private chats, but like even attaching your real name to something on Twitter doesn't seem to like really hold people accountable for it.
And it won't. And then
Yeah.
you know what? That's fine. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know.
If it makes it easier to report
yeah,
users for
exactly.
bad
I feel like you
behavior,
just,
then
up to that point, you felt like you're just shouting into the void. So
yeah,
because I've reported people once or twice in the past, and
yeah, I've had to do
knows
that
if
too.
anything ever
Look,
came of
I
it. assumed
apologized for
nothing.
that, Greg.
Bill's still here.
Phil is still here.
I haven't seen him on Xbox Live in a long time, so it might have worked.
Well, after all that stuff with Uno, I got banned pretty hard.
I still
go.
every now and then, if I ever come across my old Xbox 360 camera, I feel the need to scrub it.
Yeah, but I'm excited about the PS5's interface. I think it looks nice and clean, and the sort of context-sensitive cards to get you in and out of games.
I'm not even
seems
terribly
good.
concerned about the games. I'm just like really stoked about this interface.
Stoked about the UI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
because I
see-
mean,
Sorry.
it may like when you load up a system and you're like, what should I play? If you bring up those cards and it says, well, you're only 10 minutes away from finishing this, or like you're 75% of the way through this trophy, like that might help you pick what you do or what you play.
Yeah, I was talking to your best friend Mike's best friend Jim about that this weekend, and he actually does try to. He doesn't platinum everything, but like when he finishes a game, he likes to go back and look at the trophy list
Yeah.
and
Sure.
sort of try to discern like, well, I can probably sort this out with another like couple hours worth of gameplay.
Yeah.
Right? So he was actually pretty stoked about this feature. It's definitely right up his alley.
Do you guys ever use the website howlongtobeat.com?
Oh, all the time.
I've checked
Yeah.
it a few times. Yeah.
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 Anytime
I mean,
I'm
that would be
considering
cool to
starting
have.
something older, I like to look at that and get an idea.
Yeah, like basically if this is that where it could show you, you know, how much longer do I have in this level or in this mission or to do this thing. I think that's great.
It's like reading a Kindle book,
Yeah, exactly.
and then they give you a little.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, Kindle will give you that little time estimate down at the bottom, like, oh, you have 3 minutes left in this chapter,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of thing.
And
Yeah.
you think about and even on the PS4, you can view how many people have unlocked a particular trophy, or
Yeah.
and I think this is on Xbox as well.
Hmm.
And if they use that, if they basically aggregate all the data of people playing through these games and can like accurately tell you how long it's going to take you to finish such and such a game, like I think that's great. Like that's a
It's
sort
awesome.
of next gen feature that I'm interested in seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
The one thing that they haven't talked about yet, well, is auto downloading patches and stuff like for the game to be ready for you to play it. Like so much of this UI video is focused on we want you to get right to the games, right?
Yeah.
What is it like? What does auto updating look like? Because for me, it never downloads the right updates to the right games that I want to like boot up. And with since I play a lot of games that are service games, you need to have like the latest update to even be able to play. So that's another big question mark. The Xbox, even though I have it in settings, in preferences to download updates automatically, it never does. So, and PS5 is only a little bit better with that itself. So.
So did you see or hear about the whole loading time that the demo that they did with Spider-Man?
No.
So I think it was Mark Cerny, and I don't know if there's video of it. I'm trying to find it here, but he did like a quick travel.
Is that new or old?
I think it was pretty new.
Old video. Okay.
Quick travel in Spider-Man using a PlayStation 4,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it took something like 15 seconds
Yeah.
for Spider-Man to appear where he was supposed to. And then he did the exact same thing on a PS5, and it took 0.8 seconds.
Oh, jeez.
Well, what is it? Game
Like
Informer's doing
instantaneous.
coverage of Miles Morales. That's their cover game. So they're doing a lot of videos
Mm-hmm.
on that. And one of the videos showed the time it took to get from an indoor location,
That's
like
the video I saw.
Oh,
out
yeah.
to the city and swinging around. And it was like instant.
It's instant.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't even know there was a load.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really good.
Yeah.
That's really
It's
good.
pretty great.
It's pretty exciting.
Only a couple weeks away now.
Yep,
from
it's
next
true.
gen starting. Yeah. All right. So I think we should get into what you've been playing.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. And I'll start us off. So
selfish.
I downloaded Home Post Mortem Edition.
Post-mortem?
Yeah.
Home Post Mortem Edition. So this is Benjamin Rivers, friend of the show.
know that guy.
Released Home Post Mortem Edition on the Switch, and I'd never played Home.
I played through this as well. This
I'm a good friend, so
this
I've
past
played
week.
through it before.
I had played his other games, but not Home.
Yeah.
So I played Home and finished it. Of course, it's not a very long game.
No, it's like an
No.
hour.
It's like an hour, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it, and I played it for the first time with developer commentary on, because that's one of the features of this.
What?
And it's non-spoilery. It's not spoilery.
What?
What?
I mean, okay. So for those who don't know, Home is a. I mean, it's essentially kind of like a visual novel.
Yes.
You know, it's a narration story based game. You're walking around. It's 2-dimensional.
Yep.
It looks like it's a 2D game. It's kind of like 16-bit styled, and you go around these 2D environments, and you're interacting with objects in the background, and you're piecing together a story.
That's right.
And it's a spooky story. You know, it's kind of
It's a spooky
suspenseful.
story. You wake
it's
up-
spooky. Yes.
You wake up in a location you're not familiar
Yes.
with. You've got blood on you.
Yes, and
Yeah.
you got to figure out what's happening.
What's happening, and get yourself
Yes.
back home.
And you played through it the first time with the commentary.
I did with the
It's
commentary
CJ.
on,
What
and
do you want?
I put
CJ's
it on. I put it on, wondering like, okay, if the first thing I run into seems like I should really play this with this on a second time, then I'll disable it.
Right,
You can
right.
turn it on at any time.
Well, I mean,
And-
it does help the mood for your first playthrough to be walking by something and having a little bring pop up and a big arrow appear. Do you want to know more about this mouse?
Yes.
Are you the
Although
guy?
it does, I mean, it does that. It highlights the things that you can interact with anyway. Like, what's the difference? What's the difference
Well,
there?
You
I
don't have
want
a
to hear
giant.
more
You don't
from
have
my
a
pal
giant.
Ben Rivers
You don't have a
about the
big
making of this game.
dinging noise happening. You don't have a giant arrow pointing down at it.
Right.
And then you don't have the flow of the narrative being interrupted.
But it was the way that
by
it was
someone
done.
telling
It
you about the
wasn't.
story.
It wasn't interrupted. The flow of the narrative was not interrupted, and there were no spoilers in it as well.
CJ wasn't paying attention to the flow of
So,
the narrative
Yeah.
anyway.
The
was
I will say this, because CJ, you're the guy who watches movies for the first time with director's commentary on, right?
That's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
always.
I haven't seen this movie before, but I want to find out what the director has to say
Yeah.
before I watch it proper.
That's right. That's right.
I will say because I this is the first time I played through it as well.
Yeah.
I
You
played through
played
it.
with it off.
Well, of course
the
I did,
commentary
because I'm not a madman.
Apparently.
I played
Yeah.
it the way it was meant to be played, as a story. So I experienced my version of the story, and then
Yeah.
afterwards, I'm planning to replay it now with
Yeah.
Benjamin's commentary. And I after I beat it, I started another game and turned the commentary on just to kind of see how it
Yeah.
works, and it's handled very well. I mean, if you are playing
Absolutely,
it, yeah, you'll reach certain points and you'll get that little icon on the screen, and you can opt to press the button to hear the commentary, and yeah, Benjamin will come on and tell you a little bit about what they were thinking at that point in the development cycle. And it's very informative, and
It
it's
is,
really
yeah.
well done, and you can turn it on or off in the options menu whenever you want.
Correct.
But to play through it the first time with that
I did.
is
Yeah. That was-
lunacy.
No, it's not.
weird.
It's not.
That's
It's not.
weird.
Although from the developer commentary,
Uh-huh.
you realize that there are ways the story changes depending on what you have picked up or what you have done with
What's-
the things that you pick up.
You know what's
So-
weird? Playing through it without that. Just
Yeah.
playing it
Just playing it
on your
regular.
own.
Yeah.
The way the game is
Okay, you're
meant
right.
to be
You're right,
played.
Phil. Is that what
It's
you want to
very-
hear? Is that what
I-
you want to hear?
You're
That's what
right. That's what I always want to
Jesus
hear.
Christ.
That's what I always want to hear from everyone. From everyone. I need that
That
validation.
validation. There it is. There it is.
But no, yeah, well, that's kind of the neat thing about it is, yeah, it's pretty clear the game does, because there are things that you can do. There are choices you can make
Yeah.
that do seem to really, I mean, and not even necessarily send the story off in crazy directions, but certainly alter
Dialogue
the dialogue
options.
and yeah, kind of the tone of the game as you progress forward.
Yep.
So, and I'd love to compare notes with you about your playthrough, but it would but doing so would certainly spoil.
It would definitely spoil the game.
No, we're not going to. I don't think we
No.
should.
No.
But I do want to, like I said, I want to play through it again with the commentary, and I want to play
Yeah.
through it and just make some different choices and see
Of course.
how that affects things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But because you kind of one of the main cruxes of the story is that your character doesn't really remember what's happened. He doesn't know
That's
why
right.
he's in the position he's in. And as you play through the game, at several points, you're hearing his inner, well, you're reading his inner dialogue.
That's right.
And you'll see something in the background, and he'll be reminiscing. He's like, oh, I remember seeing this, and then you kind of have to, you'll come to a choice, and it's like, oh,
Right.
did I pick up this object? And yes, I did. Or
That's
no.
right.
And then even like, oh wait, did this person that I interacted with earlier, did he do something or did he not do something? And it does seem like it's gonna,
And the dialogue choices will be worded like, I didn't pick that up. I didn't pick it up. did I?"
right. Yeah.
And it'll be like, yes. or
Well, it's
no.
like, yeah, because it's like
Right.
he's slowly piecing together his memory. as
Right,
he
right,
goes,
right.
But yeah, but it's good.
Yeah. Oh no, I really enjoyed my time with it for
Yeah.
sure, and I do want to replay again without. I'm doing it backwards without
that's
the
weird.
commentary now.
That's weird. That's weird.
And
but it's quite creepy. It's a good
it is. It's a good
for this-
October game,
this time of year.
October game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's certainly a creepy game.
and like we mentioned, it's not very long, so you can
No.
it's bite size, but it's perfect
Yeah.
for
Well, and
October.
it seems kind of built for multiple playthroughs, given the length
Yes,
and the
absolutely.
variety of choices you can have. I can't imagine piecing that sort of narrative together with all the different branching elements and all the different bits of dialogue that he must have written that most
I want to
people aren't ever
say
gonna see.
actually, he actually did a stream recently on his Twitch channel. Ben did for the anniversary release
Yeah.
that talks about some of the stuff. So if you're at all interested, I highly
Okay.
recommend. It's Twitch TV/Ben Rivers Inc. And just go
Okay.
look in the archive and you'll find, and it might actually be on his YouTube channel as well, because I think his archives go on his YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
So it'd be worth going and checking that out if you're
Yeah,
interested.
I'll link to that in the show notes
Yeah.
as well. But home postmortem edition, only $8 on your Nintendo Switch, and
Yes.
Well
I
worth
would
it.
highly recommended. Yeah,
Yes.
well worth it for sure.
Yeah. Very cool.
The other thing I've been doing this week is prepping for next gen.
Repping. Yeah, I saw you put this on the outline, so I'm interested.
So yeah, I'm HDMI prep is what I did this week.
So what are you doing
So
to
my-
the cables
my-
to prepare them?
I have to
Just
prepare- I have to warm up the
washing them in the
cables.
tub.
warm
Get
up the
a
cables.
get a big wash tub and you're cleaning them off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my 4K TV only has 3 HDMI ports on
Uh-oh.
it.
Is that like the 2.2 whatever?
They're
Something like that.
2.0.
2.0? Sorry.
Yeah. So I got a 5-port switcher
Yeah.
for that. So now I can plug
too.
more HDMI
Nice.
devices into my television, and using HDMI CEC, it'll switch to the input that has a signal
Yeah.
on it. So some systems do that, like the PS4 does that, the Switch does that, the Apple TV does that. The Xbox for some reason does not do that.
Hmm.
The Xbox One.
Wasn't there an
Won't
issue
do
with the
that?
Switch originally that it was taking over sometimes?
I think some
Even when it
people had
wasn't
that,
on?
but I haven't heard about that in a
okay.
long time.
All right.
A long time.
Neither have I. I just even remember hearing it back when.
Yeah,
it
I
was
heard
a
about it.
thing.
That never happened to me, and I have not had that happen since hearing about it at launch. So, but yeah, so I got this little 5-port HDMI switcher
Nice.
and some HDMI cables to like the nice threaded HDMI.
Yeah, like you actually need
fabric.
cables that can handle this amount
That's
of.
right. So you
data,
need
right?
HDMI cables that'll do 4K video at 60 hertz.
Are the next gen systems not coming with?
I would
said
assume
cables?
that
I would
but if you're
assume they
using
will.
if you're using a hub, you'd still need to have at least one more that goes to the TV.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of
Correct.
running because I think my TV has 3 ports.
Yeah.
So I'm actually planning on plugging the PS5 and the Series X directly into the TV. And then I also bought one of those. And the switcher that I bought, I'm not going to be putting any 4K consoles on it right now, but I wanted to get one that would be ready for
Yeah.
4K down the road just in case. But
Sure.
yeah, that's what I'm like. In the next couple weeks, I'm tearing this whole entertainment unit apart and moving some systems to the game room and
Yeah.
just getting ready for this.
What I did on my entertainment center is I moved my TV forward. Like I'd had it pushed back a little,
Right.
and controllers and stuff
Making
were in
room for
front.
the PS5.
But now, yeah, basically I pulled it forward so that I can put the PS5 and Xbox Series X behind the television.
We were
Oh,
talking
you're
about-
you're doing behind the TV.
I think
then, huh?
I'm going to have to because the
You think you're
PS5
close?
is so large.
Well,
this big.
even if it's like, I know that when I first got this TV, I was considering sitting it just on the like how you have yours, CJ.
Yeah.
I know you have yours sitting on the entertainment unit.
yeah.
I actually put the stand on it at first to check that out and check the clearance underneath
Yeah.
it. It wasn't big enough for a PS5 to fit under it.
No,
laying horizontally, and of course the thing has got such a deep footprint too that I couldn't leave it sitting out because it'd be hanging off the front of the entertainment center. So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna mount this to the wall after all. And yeah.
So,
Yeah.
CJ, is that having it behind the TV? I mean, I know you're going all digital, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, no problem there.
But is that going to be distracting? Like if you're watching TV, to have those couple inches of the PS5 like peeking up behind your TV set?
That's not going to be an issue.
Okay. okay.
God, I hope not. I hope
Do you-
it's not.
are you
You should
raising your
balance it out. You
TV
should-
up? Like you have some books or something the TV's going to be sitting on just to
I
bring
think
it up.
what Phil's
Yeah.
saying is you should balance it out by getting about 300 sheets of paper so you can print out a life-size image of a PS5. You can put it on the other side.
Well, that would just be a waste of paper. Killing
Another
the
force.
trees,
balance,
man.
balance it out. Yeah, so at least you have the symmetry.
Yeah, yeah.
The weight would be off. Your whole apartment would be leaning to one side. But
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
That
That's
side of the
true.
You
building's
could dig a
gonna-
Systems-
hole,
That
and-
system's big, huh?
set it
So
down in
big.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could put it on its side and then just use that as a TV stand.
Yeah, but I imagine I'm planning on putting it behind the TV. So,
Yeah. Oh, very good.
so that's what I've been playing. Phil,
Yeah.
or sorry, Greg.
Ah, look at that.
Greg.
What a tease.
Greg.
Ah,
Greg, please be quiet while. Or sorry, Phil, please be quiet while
Wow.
Greg speaks. There we go. I got it.
oh, man.
So for me, I've been playing Streets of, how do you say that?
Kamurocho.
Kamurocho.
Camarocho.
Yes.
Yeah, played through that.
The new Yakuza game.
Yeah, the new Yakuza game. Played through that today. So it's literally just a reskin of the first level of Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah.
Where you're playing as 2 characters who I really don't know. Because I don't know the Yakuza games at all.
Have you seen any of the previews of Yakuza Like a Dragon? Because that game looks pretty fun.
They do.
It's
you know what?
turn-based
All those games
RPG
look-
combat.
You know what?
Though
I've mentioned this before. This is a series. I own every Yakuza game.
Yeah.
I don't think
own,
I've
like,
played one of them.
I own like
Re-
2
Really?
Yakuza
just-
games.
Because it's one of those ones I know I'm gonna like them. I shouldn't say that. I have played one of them for a couple hours because I played it on stream at one point,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
They're really good games.
Yeah,
but-
I have Zero and
I
Kiwami,
just-
and I've only played a little bit of each.
A lot of them I ended up with because of the whole freelancing thing and
Oh, right.
getting them free. But then it's like now I feel obligated to buy the new ones as they come out.
Yeah.
I've never played it. Anyway,
man.
you play as Kazuma.
Mhm. Well, you get
who's-
to pick between two characters.
well, Cosmo is
Well, not-
he's the main character,
Mhm.
and then I think the other one is Goro, right? The guy with the eye
Sure.
patch.
Yes.
Yeah, the guy with the
Yeah.
that's Goro. So
Yeah. So, but it's literally a streets. It's a full reskin though. I was pretty impressed because I knew that's what
Yeah.
it was going into it. But I mean, it's a full reskin, front to back, items, backgrounds, characters, everything. The music is different.
mhm.
The sound effects are the same.
Yeah, I did notice
Sound
that.
effects are exactly the same, but everything else is different. And I mean, you get to like the boss in front of the bar, at the sort of end of the first stage of the first level, and the character that you fight, the sub boss that you fight there, moves exactly like the sub boss from
Oh,
that
yeah,
section of Streets of Rage 2. And then you're in the bar and you're going through and breaking the tables. Although I did like that the tables all have ashtrays on them, and when you
Yeah.
smash the tables, the ashtray actually falls to the floor
Yeah.
and scatters. It's a nice touch. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun little game for a freebie.
Yeah.
Plays great because it's just Streets of Rage 2. And then when you finish and you beat what would be the bartender,
Mhm.
you just start over and
Yeah.
just keeps going round 2, round 3, round 4. I assume it goes on forever. I don't know. It was pretty cool. Like I
Yeah.
said, cool freebie. But the big thing for me this week, and I'm surprised, did you guys not get this? Mario Kart Live?
Well, as
No.
as we were talking, I think we talked about this where I don't have room in my place for it.
I don't think I do
That's
either.
fair.
You know, I'd love to.
So I was worried about that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get it anyway because love Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not that you guys, I know you guys love Mario Kart as well, but it's fun. And you know what? It's funny because we've actually had this conversation years ago when my son was much younger. His grandmother gave him a Hot Wheels set
Mhm.
that the car that like one of those tracks that you do loop to loops and all that, and the car that came with it had a little camera on
Oh,
it
yeah,
that
yeah,
you
yeah.
could plug in via USB, and I always thought that's really neat. So anyway, yeah, I ended up getting Mario Kart Live home circuit. I don't live in a very big place.
Did you just get one cart or did you get a
I just
Mario?
got one because I only have one.
Oh,
I only
you
have
it
a
right
one
there.
Switch. Yes, I have it right here.
Hold it up. Oh, okay.
So
that
there he
thing looks
is.
Great.
It is great,
It is
and
great.
it's well made. Like the tires are actually inflated. So it's
Are they really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh man.
It's a nice touch.
Yeah.
So yeah, the way it works is basically like this little piece on the top has a camera attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way you connect it to your Switch. Actually, if you don't have a cart already connected to your Switch, it just brings up a QR code on the screen, and then you just point the camera at the QR code.
Oh, that's awesome.
And ever
Oh.
since then, turn the thing
Yeah.
on and off multiple times, and it's like, well, it's already connected, so that's cool.
Mhm.
Uses USB-C, which you just slide up the side of the pod there.
Oh man.
Nice.
USB-C, and then there's just a little ignition button, they call it here on the pod. So I knew this was going to be a gimmick, and it's
Mhm.
funny. This is going to be the third time I've talked about this, but I knew this was going to be a gimmick when I bought it. But it's like, you know what? I think the car looked pretty cool. I've paid nearly this much for little RC toys and stuff like that anyway. I knew my kids were going to be into it. So it comes with that, and then it comes with a series of cardboard gates. It comes with 4 gates, and then it comes with 2 little cardboard arrow signs.
Okay.
And basically what you do is you put this thing down on your floor, and you use the gates to create tracks. So what you want to do is, or what you do is you actually use, you place the gates down wherever you want. And then when you've decided to create a track, Lakitu is kind of your tour guide through this whole thing. So you're sitting there looking over Mario's head through this little camera. And actually you can't really see any of the cars at all.
Mhm.
But it's an overlay on the screen. You can see Mario and Mario's head in the front of his cart. Anyway, Lakitu comes and he dumps paint on your front wheels, and it's like, okay, go create the track. And the only thing that they really tell you to do is to go through each gate in sequence. So each
Yeah.
gate has a big like 1, 2, 3, 4 on it. So they want you to go through the gates in the direction that the number is, and then it leaves a painted trail. And then when you come back to where you started, after you've gone through the 4th gate, then it says, okay, your track is created, and it creates a little mini map, and it creates an overlay on the floor if you want. But then so I knew all that, but then the thing that really got me is that there's actually like multiple Mario Kart style cups that you can actually race in single player. And they just use the tracks you create. And within that cup, generally the way it works is you create the track first when you decide to pick a cup, and then you're going to have 3 races on that course, but they're all themed differently. So like the first one you go into, the sort of the overlays you'll see are just sort of standard Mario Kart stuff. And then the second one you go into is underwater. So basically it uses distortion and a blue overlay, and you'll see like bubbles coming up and everything like that. So you're still looking through the camera at your floor.
Yeah.
But, you know, and the enemies that appear depends on that too. Like you can go into like a retro 8-bit version where everything looks like it's a 3D-ified version of Super Mario Brothers. And I was in a Donkey Kong one today where there were sort of leaves around the edge of the screen, and there was like God rays, sunlight coming through and stuff like that.
That's cool.
And everything is attached to those gates. So for that Donkey Kong one, as an example, you're coming toward the gate, and of course they're plastering graphics around it. So it looks like vines are wrapped all around the gates, and there's like piranha plants hanging off one side. So you want to go through the other side of the gate. And, you know, for that retro Mario one, there's little 8-bit Goombas clomping around. And so there's actually a lot of variety for the fact that you're just doing the same track over and over again.
Right.
And then when you go to a different cup, it says, do you want to keep using this track, or would you like to create a new track? And you can go create the new track. But yeah, everything is kind of tied to those 4 gates. So the nice thing about that is that you can do switchbacks back across the track and everything like that, because it's only looking for you to connect up the track once you've driven through that 4th gate when you're creating a track. And while you're playing, it's got, you can drift. It doesn't physically drift, but if you hold the drift button while you're turning, you'll build up boost.
Yeah.
You can get items that you can throw at the AI characters, which are just the Koopa kids in the little floating Koopa Bowser type clown car things.
Yep.
And yeah, and the other thing you can do is you can customize the gates. So like when you go to a gate, you can go sit in front of it, and if you press the X button, you unlock these different gate customizations. So right now, like I can have just a regular gate, or I can make it a boost gate, or I can make it an item box gate, or there can be pipes, and there can be piranha plants and magnets, like, and you're unlocking more and more. That's the stuff you're unlocking by collecting coins. You're also unlocking skins for the cart. It's just the front of the cart that you can see on your screen. Skins for Mario as well. Like I've unlocked Dr. Mario. I've unlocked a Santa suit for Mario at this point. And you can actually run it at 4 different speeds. So it's 50cc to, I think, 200cc, 50, 100, 150, and 2. And that's kind of where it comes into play as far as how small the area that I'm in the house right now, how small it is. At 50cc, no problem. There's more than enough space in here.
Yeah.
It seems to have a range. It tells you the range is about 5 meters from the Switch. It's connected directly to the Switch, basically. So when I was doing a little demo that I actually streamed, and we should put the link up there because I sort of go through how this all works.
Yep.
The system was docked. I measured about 20 to 23 feet from the system, is about as far as I could go before I started having intermittent freezes on the video. So if you've got it handheld, it's a pretty decent range. And at the 50cc speed, I didn't have any problem. I could go into my hallway and do a 180, and I had plenty of space to do it. It's got a really nice turning radius.
Yeah, okay.
As you go up speeds, like tonight, I was actually playing it around a little bit more, and it still has a good turning radius, and the cart's not so much faster that you can't make those turns. But one of the things that I was learning is you don't want to create a turn right after a gate, because sometimes when you go into those cups, the game dictates what the gates will be. So sometimes you'll have boost gates. With a boost gate right before a turn, I feel like when you're on the higher CC levels, your carts move a little faster anyway, but the boosts seem to last longer. And I was overshooting a turn every time because it would boost me and I just couldn't turn fast enough.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, in general, like I'm just super impressed by the fact that this feels like a full-fledged, it's not Mario Kart 9, but it feels like a full-fledged Mario Kart game has the progression I'm looking for in a Mario Kart game.
Yeah.
It also doesn't feel like a prototype or just a toy necessarily.
I mean,
a little mini game.
And I don't want to oversell it either. It is a gimmicky little toy. Sure, that is what it is. But there's a lot to it. There's, you know, like
Yeah.
I already feel like I'm getting more use out of this than I got out of like Labo stuff.
Okay.
Like the Labo stuff, the mini games were fun. This feels more robust,
Okay.
way more robust.
Yeah.
And then the fun thing is besides that, you don't have to run the cups. You can just do free roam. You can create tracks
pretty
and just
cool.
race them if you want, or just race around. Like my youngest
Yeah.
just loves the fact that she has a little RC car that she can run around with a camera on it.
Yeah.
Like, so last night I was sitting up, or yesterday afternoon I was sitting up, she had a little friend over and her bedroom door is right back there. So she had a friend over and I'm sitting here working on my computer and there was no noise in the house. And all I can hear is this little RC car creeping into the living room very slowly. And from behind the door, I hear little girl giggles, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
they're 8 years old. So they just thought it was the best thing in the world that they could drive this little cart around and spy on what was going on in the rest of the house. So I mean,
funny.
in the 2.5 days we've owned it, we've gotten so much use out of it
That's
already.
pretty
And
cool.
it's not just racing. And I can
Mhm.
imagine if you were in a bigger space,
Yeah.
especially if you had more people, because you can race up to 4 carts.
Right.
Oh,
If you
really?
had more people with their own switches and their own carts,
Yeah.
you could have a ton of fun with this thing.
Huh.
If you've got access to that sort of thing, you know. So, but I know there were a few people who were asking sort of what it was about, and I know there were a few people like one of our listeners, Levity NYC. I know he bought some for his kids for Christmas. I think you get a lot of it. I think you'll really enjoy it. But if you do want to better look at what it is like and how it works, we'll put the link in the show notes. But I did a quick stream on Twitch on Saturday morning that just sort of runs through how it all works and demonstrates it a little bit. So go
Yeah.
take a look at that.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy with it.
That's very cool.
Kind of cool to
It
have
looks
a
cool.
Mario Kart with.
Yeah.
That's a great little toy.
And the game itself is just a free download on the eShop.
Game's a free
so
download. Yep.
I wonder if
And-
they'll end up selling different carts too. Like if
Well,
you
they
get a
have
Princess
Mario
Peach
or
or something.
Luigi.
They have Mario and Luigi, but
Peach is the first thing both my daughters immediately said, like, is there a Peach
Yeah.
cart?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, my
which-
daughter would really want a Peach cart.
Yeah. The other thing too, just to call out, and I mentioned this on the video, like the bottom of it is quite smooth.
Mm-hmm.
So I've read a few people now saying that they have no problem running it on carpet.
Oh, nice.
And one of the things that I call it in that video too is that we have hardwood floor in here, but there's a bit of a transition to like the tile floor in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
This thing handles the transitions no problem.
Okay.
It goes over
Nice,
small
nice.
transitions. You know,
Hmm.
you can get hung up on it if you come to a complete stop,
Right.
which happened to me
Yeah.
during a race, because the way the effects of any of the weapons here is to bring your cart to a stop.
Oh,
or-
okay.
Like the chain chomp actually is interesting here because it's actually a weapon in this game where if you get that, it's like you're walking a dog that doesn't like the leash, so it
Oh,
actually
okay.
starts dragging the cart. It jolts the
Oh,
cart
wow.
left and right.
Huh.
So just little touches like that are cool. So
That's
I
nice.
got hit just before I went over transition in one of the races, and because I come to a complete stop, I couldn't make it. I had to back up and then drive over.
You know what, though? That's just like when you're going over a ramp and you get hit by the lightning bolt and you
Yeah,
end up
right.
falling off of
That's the
ramp.
first thing I thought of. I thought
Yeah.
of the Wario Stadium in
Yeah,
the
that's
N64
exactly
game.
what I was referring to. Yeah.
It's been interesting to watch some videos of people who got this and set it up, who have pets, especially like
Yeah.
seeing the pets like walking around. while
Yeah,
you're
well, a
racing.
lot of my
Funny.
races have been around feet and
Feet.
kids putting their heads down in front of the cart. And, yeah,
How
That's awesome.
how large of a track can you make? Like in terms of the length, like if you
I
took it
haven't hit a limit.
outside, like
Well,
if you
it
if you
does
went
tell you
outside-
not to take it outside, but I mean,
Oh,
it would
really?
work. Yeah.
Really?
But I mean,
Okay, if you
I-
went to a gymnasium,
I haven't hit a
A
length
gymnasium,
limit.
right.
Like it's never gotten to the point where it's like, okay, the track's too long now.
yeah,
Like,
I'm
a
sure
river
there
road
is.
that's 10 minutes long to
yeah. See,
complete.
that's what I want to see someone do is go into like
Sure.
just like a big gymnasium and actually paint
Yeah,
out
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
giant rainbow.
And that would be the
track.
That'd
best
be awesome.
thing, right? It's just
Yeah.
like, because I saw, I don't know if it was some Japanese account that I ended up seeing on Twitter. I don't know if it was Nintendo itself, but somebody had a whole room that they'd actually put down tiles that were painted up like
Oh,
the
I saw
original
that
track in the
video,
first
yeah.
Mario, and they had like
Really?
the colored blocks up and
Oh,
everything. So you could have
wow.
some real fun with it. But I mean, like I say, I think I measured about 23 feet before it sort of lost.
okay.
It still worked, but it's just the video
Mhm.
feed wasn't smooth. So I
Okay.
mean, if you were holding it, if you're playing handheld and you're standing in the middle, you're talking about like a 50-foot circumference, right? So
right.
the track could be pretty big, and the gates only exist to tell you where you are.
Should be a 50-foot diameter.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
To where you are
Circumferences.
in progression, right?
Yeah.
So like one of the things actually we were kind of playing around tonight, and I made like this really sort of wiggly track that went under our coffee table and everything. And
Yeah.
just for the hell of it, I just decided like, you know, what is it really measuring? It's only measuring you passing through the gates.
Okay.
So like, you know, I from gate 1 to gate 2, I had like a left and a right, and it went up here. The AI would follow that, but I could just
Okay.
drive directly from gate 1 to gate 2. So you got to kind of want to be into it, or
Right.
you want to set up obstacles that you need to get around.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was even working well to go around corners and things like that. Like from where I was sitting, I was actually going down my hall about halfway, so you
Mhm.
couldn't even see the thing, and then coming
wow.
back, and it worked great.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool. I wish
I'm really happy with it.
I wish I had room to use it, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
that's the
I
thing.
feel like the place I'm in right now, we're at about the smallest space we could be in where we can still do a little bit of track variety and have a good time with it.
yeah.
I feel like if you were in a smaller space than this,
Yeah.
it might not be so great.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah, that sounds cool though.
but yeah, really, really loving it.
All right.
Nice.
That's it for me.
Phil,
Yeah.
what do you got? What do you got?
Well, not too much more than what we've already talked about. I like, you know, like you said, I played Home Postmortem Edition, played Streets of Kamurocho. The only other really big thing, well, not even really big, but new thing I picked up yesterday. I was out at Target. I had to run out to Target yesterday, and I actually for the first time since quarantine began, I took Finn out to the store, got him
Okay.
out of the house and took him to the store. He was, because he asked if he could tag along, and you know, for months we've been saying no, but I was just yeah, let's go ahead, get you masked up and everything. So he and I took a trip out to the store. We had to pick up a few home essentials, and I noticed we walked through the video game section. We were looking at stuff, and I noticed that there is a new, and if I was talking about this all last night on Twitter, but in the video game section at Target, and I've heard these are also showing up at like Office Depot or, you know, places like that. Arcade 1-Up, you know, Arcade 1-Up. Arcade
There's a rumor
1-Up.
they're doing an outrun machine.
What?
That's
How?
the rumor.
How?
Oh, really? Huh.
Steering wheel and pedals.
Yeah, but I mean like the Ferrari license. That's Are they?
They've been around that. They've gotten around that for a while now.
Oh, okay.
They just
Okay.
repaint the car a tiny bit and get rid of what looks like that prancing horse logo, and it's not a Ferrari anymore. It's
Okay,
just a
well,
red
There
car.
you go.
Boy, that might be that might be
That
the
will be the
straw.
one for
Yeah.
me. That'll be the one.
That might be
I'll
the
buy.
one for me too. Oh my goodness, if that's true.
I think they said virtual racing might be one of the games on it too.
Wow.
It's
Oh,
all
really?
rumors, but
Okay. Maybe Radmobile.
no, that was
No?
not on the list.
It's the first appearance of Sonic the Hedgehog. I know Greg does that.
No, yeah.
But yeah, Arcade 1-Up, they are the folks who do those 3/4 scale arcade cabinets that are, you know, range in price from like $300 to $500 depending on what they are. They did like the Turtles one and the Star Wars one. They did a Marvel one recently. And I know they have a pinball machine coming out. They're doing
Mhm.
like a digital pinball with like Marvel pinball.
That's pretty
Uh,
cool.
Yeah, which looks really awesome. But they are also apparently getting into the kind of impulse buy market as well for this holiday season. Because over in Target's video game section, they had, I saw 2 different Arcade 1-Up branded plug and play consoles. One was branded as Pac-Man, but it
Mhm.
actually just has 10
Namco
Namco, yeah, classic.
Sure.
You know, it's got like a Rally X and Mappy and, you know, Galaga, you know, the usual classic Namco compilation suspects. But they also had a Mega Man one. which contains the 6 NES Mega Man games, which of course caught my eye. They're $40 each, and I was like, "Oh, look at them! I'm picking it up. I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, well, I kind of have to get this, don't I?
You have to be on brand.
Got to be on brand." And I mentioned that I brought my son along because Finn apparently much wiser than his father.
It's not too hard.
You don't
When it comes to spending money.
You don't really need to buy that, Dad.
Yeah. Don't you have these?
From the mouths of babes.
What the hell kind of 8-year-old are you? Saying
Well,
to
I mean,
not
really,
buy a toy.
really, your house can only handle one 8-year-old.
He could have used it as an excuse to buy him a toy as well. Like if you're getting a toy,
But he didn't
tell your mother.
He absolutely didn't. No,
Wow.
This was not a no. Buy me some mine coins instead. No, this was just you don't really need that, do you, Dad? I was like, well, when you're older, you'll understand, my son.
Here you go.
But
Your whole life is going to be one big cautionary tale for that
I
kid.
know, right? He's gonna be the most
He's gonna be
successful,
so responsible.
financially responsible. Yeah, his bank account will be thriving. Not an ounce of debt to his name. He's gonna be thin and fit,
And rich.
beloved by all. Anyway, here's my Mega Man thing I bought. So you got,
see it.
here it is. This is the console itself. It is a tiny, if you are watching on the YouTubes, you can see it here. It's got the Arcade 1-Up branding on the front with a couple of USB ports,
Yep.
little power light. The top says Mega Man Collection. It's got the one button on the console is the power switch. And then on the back, you have the HDMI. You have the little mini USB power out. And
Memory card.
here's something notable. Yes, a micro SD port.
Oh, for like software updates or something?
ROM.
Who knows?
For various things,
For
I'm
various
sure. I'm sure
hackable things.
I'm sure there are YouTube videos that it will explain things you can do with that port.
Sure.
I don't know. There was
You
nothing in
haven't
the
heard anything about
instructions that I saw, but I did pick this up, and it comes with a controller. Here is the controller. It is.
Yeah, what's the build quality like on that controller?
Oh,
I mean, it looks
trash.
fantastic.
I mean,
Absolute.
is it worse than like a Jack specific sort of
Well, look at it.
It's
thing? It looks like it is.
I
It
mean,
looks like it's worse.
it's not good.
The weird thing about it, like Arcade 1-Up, I don't necessarily think of as like a brand that makes cheap.
Well, I
shit.
mean, Arcade 1-Up, I don't have a ton of experience with their products. I've played some of the demo units in stores. My good pal Bill Mudron got the Star Wars cabinet, so I've played with that a bit.
Yep.
And they seem, I mean, they're not
Good quality.
Yeah, they're not like industrial
super
strength
high
that you
end.
find in an arcade.
Right.
Sure.
But
No,
for the price, for kind of a casual, like, hey, I just want to have some of my favorite arcade games in a slightly smaller arcade cabinet in my home or in my rumpus room. Yeah, they're fine. They're decent quality. But oh boy.
Not so much here.
This is the quality of both of these things is impulse buy crap. I feel like I could snap this controller in two if I really wanted
Impulse buy, but at $40.
I know, right? Well,
That's not
That's
really
more
impulse
expensive than a lot of
territory.
the like Atari Flashback.
Yeah.
Consoles.
Yeah, it's one of those, you see every year around this time of year, once it gets to holidays,
Sure.
you start seeing this crap show
That's
up in
fair.
stores.
That's
And
a
it
good
is. It's
Christmas
like
gift price.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's grandma's out at Target looking to get something. Oh, he likes video games. I've heard of Pac-Man.
Mm.
There
you
go.
know,
Yeah.
This will look cute under the tree. Because I mean,
Yeah.
like the packaging it comes in is really nice and everything.
Is it
like
in the
that.
video game section or is it in the adult collector toy section like Target has?
Now, when you say adult,
I mean,
You know,
is
the
it
shape of this, it's
is
got
it-
those gentle curves that.
is it with the Stranger Things stuff
No, it is not. It was in
and
the
all the Funko Pops?
no, it was in the like how Target just has a Funko Pop / Stranger Things section.
I mean, that's
But you're not
basically what
wrong.
it is.
You're
I
not
was gonna
wrong.
say.
Occasionally they'll have like Rick and Morty or The Office. Stuff.
They do have that's also where they have all their NECA toys.
Oh, right, right,
NECA
Oh, yeah.
action figures, yeah.
Especially the horror.
Yeah, like
themed.
the Friday the 13th and
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street and Godzilla figures. They have a lot of Godzilla figures there now. No, this is over. It's in the video game section. They usually have a part of an aisle in the video game section that's devoted to
crap like that.
stuff like
Crap
this.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You know. I think they even have like the little like the bar top, like the actual like arcade 1-up.
Yeah,
Not
I've
the
seen
full
that
size
there.
machines, but like like the bar top mini cabinets. So this controller, if you can see, it's got Mega Man on it. Ooh, look at that.
It does.
It's a sticker.
Oh,
It's a sticker.
wow, really?
It's a
cheap.
sticker positioned right by the face buttons where you're
So it's gonna get rubbed off.
Where-
oh,
pretty
it's gonna get
fast.
rubbed off or peeled off. Yeah. It's just absolute garbage. But I tried it out last night and it works.
Is
I
Mega
mean,
Man a 6-button
What's
game?
the
Well, no, I mean, you know what? Because I posted pictures and got a couple people saying like, yeah, what's with the 6 buttons? And
Yeah.
of course, they just made one controller mold so they
Yeah.
can produce, you know,
Sure.
Genesis games or SNES games or whatever. There is also, in addition to the Namco Classic one, the instruction manual showed a Disney one. There's
Yeah,
a
but
Disney
no
one of
quack
these.
shot.
No quack shot. And
Damn it.
the selection of games on the Disney one is really weird. It's got like the Gargoyles game for the Genesis
really?
and like I think one of the Rescue Rangers games and then like some Timon and Pumbaa game that I forget what it is, but it's not the Lion King game. It's a specifically like Timon
Is
and
it a
Pumbaa
Game
game.
Gear game?
I don't
Uh,
remember.
okay.
Might even be like an old PC game. I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah, it's a really odd, and it's like Mickey Mouse Capade, the
And
NES,
that's
God.
terrible. That's a
Which-
terrible
which is
game.
not a good game. Yeah, and I don't think like DuckTales is on. I don't think DuckTales is on there,
I
but
think DuckTales is.
Is it-
in your
is
pic-
it-
I saw it on the image you.
okay, it might
On
be. I don't
Twitter.
remember.
At least Scrooge McDuck is on there.
Yeah, but you know, and also it's got multiple buttons because hey, I don't know if you know this. There's a little micro SD slot on the back of here that I
Right.
don't know. Maybe
It might be used for something.
I
Who
don't
knows
know.
what?
I don't know. But
Yeah.
here's the kicker. When you play these Mega Man games, you are using the A and B buttons right here
Yeah,
to play.
They're
Uh,
backwards.
They're backwards.
Yeah,
they're
backwards.
backwards.
I knew it.
They're backwards. The A button, which should be because this is laid out like a 6-button Genesis, right?
Right.
Are they, Greg? Do the 6-button Genesis buttons? Do they go this way or do they go?
They go left to
upwards?
right. Oh yeah, they're
Because on mine on this thing,
I think you're right. It's ABC.
it's ABC and XYZ.
yes, but
XYZ on the
And
top,
on the
ABC on the
Nintendo
bottom.
controllers, A is would be in
yeah,
the B
no, it's
position.
the same thing. Yeah, it's ABC, but yeah.
On the Super Nintendo controller.
But yeah, it's so you have the A button here is jump, and the B button is shoot, which
okay.
which is what those buttons are on the NES. If you
Sure.
look, if you're playing your NES controller, B is shoot, A is jump.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
they're in the
But
opposite
B
positions.
is the leftmost button and A is the rightmost button on an NES. Here, you're still A jump, B shoot, but the buttons are in alphabetical
so-
order.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's weird.
So yeah, so
And-
it's a Genesis outlay, but they
Yeah.
were literal with the buttons.
And there's no way to customize the
nope.
the buttons. There's no way to change the button layout. And I tried playing like Mega Man 1 and Mega Man 2, which are games that I can essentially play with my eyes closed. I have played those games so many times over the past 30 years. Just every movement in that game is just committed to muscle memory at this point. And trying to play through these games with those motions in my head, but put the buttons back, it didn't work. I was falling into pits. I was taking so many hits because I was unable to jump and shoot correctly.
And it doesn't have it so that it uses like the first of the top buttons for any of those functions. Like there's 6 buttons on that controller, so you can't use like A and X or whatever.
No, none of the other buttons function at all.
Okay.
So this thing has the 6 face buttons. It has left and right shoulder buttons. You have start and select. But yeah, none of the other buttons
for
shoulder button.
Okay.
It's got an SD. I don't know what that little port does on the back.
You're going to be using it for something, I'm sure.
But I'm sure they'll, I don't know. Maybe the Disney one has some SNES game on there. Maybe it's got like Maui Mallard or something that might use the shoulders. I don't know. But yeah, it's really it's garbage. It's unplayable. The Mega Man the Namco one,
Arcade One Up, who previously you'd expect. Well, that's why quality stuff from.
That's
weird.
Why last year, I bought some company. I don't even know the name of the company that released this. Some company last year put out a plug and play that just had Mega Man 2. And it was a joystick. Like it wasn't even like a D-pad. It was actually like a joystick. And I don't even remember seeing Capcom's logo on the packaging for that one. That's how shady last year was. I bought that I never even bothered opening it because that's going to be it's going to be garbage.
Sure.
But when I saw this and I was like, it's Arcade One Up.
How bad could it be?
And I was like, yeah, it's $40. So I expected the build quality to not be great, but I expected a sliver of competence. And I'll say this, the games look fine. They look nice. The sound sounded fine. I've seen some people say the sound's a bit off by an octave, but my ears are not classically trained enough to really pick that up. The music sounded fine to me. The sound effects sounded fine. They might be a little off, but whatever. A little lag with the controller because it's wireless. Okay. But you can put a cord in there, to if you want it wired. You can also put through the USB slots. You can put if you have a USB controller, you can just plug that in.
Okay.
I tried using one of the 8BitDo controllers that I have, and
it didn't work so much.
Well, I have the 8BitDo controller that it looks like an NES pad, but it's got like the analog sticks on there as well.
Yeah.
It wouldn't let me use the D-pad to control Mega Man. I had to use the little analog stick to control Mega Man. Nope, didn't work. Didn't work. So yeah, I mean, it's I bought this. It's a Mega Man novelty for me, but so.
Okay.
There you go. You know what though? Luckily, I have about 1,000 other ways.
I was gonna say
to play Mega Man 2.
Yeah.
That I've purchased over the years. So, yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned this earlier on, but did you see the Kickstarter for their the One Up Infinity game table?
Yes, I did. Which is,
I can't imagine crouching around a table like that to play a board game.
Yeah, it's for those who haven't seen it, it's basically a giant table-sized tablet, right?
Yeah, in 3 different sizes.
Yeah, and it has some. They struck a deal with Hasbro because it's got
with not just Hasbro, with a few different board game companies.
Are there really?
Yeah,
because I saw it's got Monopoly and Sorry and
Monopoly,
stuff like that.
Trivial Pursuit, Pandemic, and Ticket to Ride, which are
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Battleship, Scrabble, and then there's Shoots and Ladders, Candyland, Hungry Hippos, Solitaire. Although I don't know that all those are loaded onto it. They're going to be part of the shop.
Oh,
You
okay.
don't, which I mean, the upside to that is that I'm sure more games will come online
Right.
for sale. But I mean, the prices, I mean, it's a big screen, so it's going to be expensive.
Sure.
But I mean,
Yeah.
like for the
Big touch
biggest
screen.
version of it, I think it's like $900
Oof.
MSRP,
Yeah.
which is I think 32. No, yeah, 32-inch,
And
32-inch screen.
I know.
But just to finish what I was saying,
Yeah,
it's like the videos that they're showing of this thing too. It's an interesting idea,
yeah.
but I mean, like, I can't see crouching around this little table because they show the thing with the legs and it doesn't sit very high. It's like, I don't know if you, I know
really?
when we play board games, I mean, you're sitting at like something akin to like a kitchen table at least,
Right.
and yes, you need a lot of space for pieces, which is what this gets rid of, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But you still want a little bit of space to
Yeah,
have
I mean,
a
you don't
drink
wanna be-
and, like,
Yeah.
so I'm not
Yeah.
really
I
sold.
mean-
I wouldn't do it anyway because it's way too expensive for me, but not really sold
Yeah.
on the whole idea.
Yeah. And I mean, I know we've poked fun at the whole, like, why buy this card game when you can just, why
Buy a
buy
deck
this
of
$10
cards.
card game and you can go buy a deck of cards for $1?
Legitimate review of a game I worked on once.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right,
But it's like, man, if I want to play Monopoly, I think I'd just go spend the $20 on a board and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the $900 on the table.
I'm in agreement there.
Also,
Yeah.
Monopoly is a terrible game.
It's
So
an awful game.
yeah.
I can't
Why
imagine
the hell did
anyone
everyone? That's one of the greatest marketing feats in the history of toys. That
convincing-
everybody owns a copy of Monopoly, and it's
convincing
such a
people
bad
that
likes it.
Monopoly is fun. Yeah, no, it absolutely is not a good game. But yeah, so I disappointed in my little Mega Man box, but
Your piece of plastic with the Mega Man sticker on it.
yeah, I just can't ever use it now because this will wear right off.
Yeah.
Start peeling any day now. So
Okay.
yeah, there you go.
Anyway, I think that means it's time for tweets.
Tweedly deedly dee. A tweedly deedly dee. Tweet.
Let's start off with this one, which actually was in the chat from Hacker Alias Insipid Ghost, who says, which of the next gens cause a bigger change in setup for you guys?
Both of them.
I mean, all I'm going to do is switch the Xbox One X with the Xbox Series X and the
Yeah.
PS4 with the PS5. Like, so I guess I'll probably move the PS4 Pro I have to another television, or
No.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm getting both of them, so we've been reinforcing our foundation just to accommodate the added
PS5
weight.
mainly.
Yeah,
PS5
and I mean, we've had to knock out one of our walls just to let the heat overflow.
Right. right.
Vent the heat from that Xbox outside of our home. So
I like that for a week there on Twitter or in the internet sphere, people were talking about the Series X overheating.
yeah,
And then when the embargo lifted for the rest of the system details and people actually did thermal tests
yeah.
on the system, it runs cooler than a PS4 Pro and a
Oh.
One X.
To be fair, it doesn't take much to run cooler than a PS4 Pro.
Well, that's true. That's true.
But
but
I want my System Wars, CJ. Boy,
Yeah.
System Wars.
this I gotta tell you,
this
man. I mean, the people I follow on Twitter are not people who engage in system war nonsense.
yeah, same.
But
I
every now
get
and
a feeling
again-
most of them are probably System War veterans.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's how I feel myself.
But
I was
every now and
absolutely
again,
one of those people 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah.
but-
Oh, that is definitely true.
every now and again, I will end up, someone will retweet something or something will get recommended to me or something. And boy, the Xbox and PlayStation people really don't like each other, and
No.
they're really
You should check the responses to anything the official Xbox or PlayStation accounts tweet about the
it's-
systems. It's just
and maybe
ridiculous.
as an old veteran of the 16-bit console wars, maybe I've gotten too
What I-
old to care, but
what I find is so weird about it, though,
Yeah.
is that back in like the early 90s,
Yeah.
the systems were so different.
They really.
You know what I mean? Like they were
Yeah.
so different from
Yeah.
one another. Games across the system didn't look the same.
No.
They didn't sound the same.
No.
Often
The
didn't play the
controllers
same.
had different button configurations and
Yeah.
not the same number of buttons.
Right.
Right.
They were so different. And so
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we were any less like foolish for
Right.
picking sides and arguing over
But
which was better.
But the
But I mean, you know,
differences
like-
were greater.
Yeah, like even
Yes.
third-party games, they were different
Yeah.
from each other. Now it's like they almost all the third-party games look and play and
Yeah.
sound exactly the same on both
Yeah.
systems.
Look, Greg, say what you want about. I know you love your Genesis, but if I'm going to play a Tiny Toons game, I'm playing Buster Bust Loose. Okay, Buster's
playing
Hidden
that.
Treasure is garbage.
I'm playing
compared-
Buster Bust Loose on my
you really?
extra live stream on November
There you
7th.
go.
by the way.
Nice. Very
Buster's Hidden Treasure is quite good.
nice.
But that was just
But Buster's
for
Bust
some reason.
Loose
For
is
some
better.
reason, what just popped into my head was actually like Turtles Tournament Fighters. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but I mean, there's a game that came out on Super Nintendo and Genesis.
Right.
Different games.
Well,
They
I
looked
mean,
different. They had different characters, I believe. Like, you know,
like the SNES had a great Aladdin game.
here we go.
And like you go to Genesis and it's like, well, here's a pretty game, but
that's also not true. But the point you're trying to make, I almost backed into it.
You
The
almost
point you're
did.
trying to make, I mean, in that one in particular, was two different companies doing the same license.
course,
but
of
even
course,
even
yeah.
like, even a single company doing the same license.
oh yeah, yeah.
It was, you know,
Yeah.
so it's
Well,
just
keep in mind there were
that's the thing
three.
that-
There were 3 Turtles Tournament Fighters because the NES one was
that's
different
true.
too.
The NES version as well.
Huh.
So that's the thing. It's like, you know, I look at it now, I look back at it, and it was still ridiculous
Of course,
that we
of course.
engaged in system wars.
Yeah.
You know, and so that
But
element
you-
alone
well,
is
now
funny.
the
When you consider that
differences
you're
are going
fighting
to
over two
be-
things that are so similar.
Now the
to
differences
one
are going to be
another.
determined by Digital Foundry video and which one
Right.
drops frames.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's
The
just,
next-
I don't know.
The next Assassin's Creed game is not going to be as different on Xbox and PlayStation
No.
And it's
as
been that way for like 15
Yeah.
years now.
as Turtles Tournament Fighter or Aladdin
Yeah.
or anything
It's so
is going to
funny.
be. Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird, but I don't
Very
know.
weird. Very
I don't
weird.
know. When you drop your $500 to get your system, I guess you really
I
got
get
to
it.
convince yourself that you made the right choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do get that to a
Yeah.
point.
Let's do this one from Hacker Alias P.O. Rowe, who says, does Genshin Impact's $200 million in 2 weeks show that people want and like large-scale free-to-play games and are willing and happy to pay for cosmetics? Surely, Ethan Einhorn, you must be on board with
Is
this type of game / model.
I mean, we know he's not on the show anymore, right?
and you know,
I
he
mean,
was
is this a
on the
real
show.
question or is this just trying to bait Ethan into
Obviously, he's trying to bait Ethan.
Yeah,
into
yeah.
Talk about free to play. Which of
Is
course
it
he
weird that
doesn't
I don't know
like.
what this is?
This is
Genshin
that
Impact, the game that I talked about a week ago. On
I wasn't
the
listening.
British
that's that anime
Anime Breath of the Wild.
I already
gacha
forgot
game.
what it is again.
Genshin Impact.
It's
by
one of those
MiHoYo.
it's one of those panty touch games, but
Oh,
CJ's somehow
God,
That's why
convincing
Ethan
Ethan's
himself.
in
No.
this tweet.
It's not a panty touch game.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really have an
no.
opinion on this because everything I know about it is what I half listened to CJ talking about last week.
I mean, I first of all, the publisher is promoting the hell out of this game,
right.
Well, that's what you
advertising
do.
for it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And including like paid placements on the PlayStation Store. So I mean, it's around, and people have installed it and played it, and you know, I'm not surprised that people like a well-made free-to-play game like Genshin Impact. It's very well made. That people are spending money on it, and
Sure.
you know, it's sort of a global launch. You know, some other markets are more into buying gacha pawn stuff, like rolling for characters and whatnot. Like that's a big mobile game thing, and while it's sort of it doesn't seem great to console players who are used to paying full price for something, it certainly like levels the playing field and allows people who wouldn't normally be able to buy a $60 game to get a game
Sure.
and play a game,
which
like
is
this.
kind of where free to play lives anyway.
I mean, not everybody who's playing Genshin Impact is spending thousands of dollars on it. I haven't spent a dime on it, so
much like me with any free to play game I've ever played.
Exactly, pretty much, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I think the thing that's more interesting about Genshin Impact is the fact that its production values are so high, and the fact that it's like a single player story game for the first 8 hours, and then switches to a more MMO style thing where you can have larger co-op parties. It sort of says that you can do that bigger AAA free to play experience and not be Blizzard or Amazon.
Right.
Amazon wishes they did Genshin Impact at this point. Oh, anyway, let's finish up with this one from Hacker Alias Headcase Games, who says, "Hey there, P1 Podcast. What is a game that's gotten you through an otherwise tough time in life? Maybe just as a nice retreat when things have been unusually stressful in your actual life or otherwise. For me, maybe OG Game Boy Tetris is my go-to for calming my nerves / instant zone out."
I can't think of any game in particular that got me through a difficult time. I mean, I'm sure there was whatever I was playing at the time. Like probably the last two biggest things in my life have been like my divorce and my dad passing a while ago. But I wasn't playing anything in particular at the time. It was just whatever I happened to be playing. I definitely escaped into playing games.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we've talked about this before on the show. Like as far as like, I definitely have sort of go-to comfort food type games. Like I love to fire up like Guitar Man because it's such a happy game. It puts me in such a good mood, and it's so easy and so short that you can just sort of sit and sort of vibe with it for like 30 minutes and get something out of it.
You've said the same thing about me.
That's true.
Very happy, very short. You can just sit and vibe.
Same thing, like maybe like Streets of Rage 2 or something like that. Just something very familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can't think of a particular game that got me through anything.
Yeah. Same with me. Maybe like some of the old Mario games are sort of that comfort food game, or a Rock Band.
Yeah. Or like Mega Man 2 is another great one.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm just kind of trying to zone out, like Mega Man 2 is a good one that I will replay a lot. I also
Picross.
Nice
zone out game.
Not as much for me.
No,
not much for me. No,
I find I'm very competitive when I'm playing Picross. I can't.
I'm not.
I don't do it so much to relax. And competitive in that I just want to finish it as fast as possible.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I just sort of tear through the puzzles.
Yeah, no, because I my brain tends to start working a lot when I Picross. So yeah, I end up thinking a little much for that one. But I will Rogue Legacy. I will. Oh, yeah. I will dive into because
that'd be a good one.
Because I'm so kind of used to those controls and kind of talking about the muscle memory.
I was just gonna say, I think that's exactly it, because we're talking about Mega Man 2, and I know I've had people say that Mega Man 2 is a difficult game, and even Mega Man 1. But you mentioned earlier how you could play through 1 and 2 pretty much with your eyes closed, and that's kind of how I am with Mega Man 2 as well.
Yeah,
just played it so many times that it's just comfortable in that it can be challenging, but I'm so used to it that it's just not.
Yeah, I mean, anymore. You have like some of those motions just are so embedded in your brain that just as soon as you see the image on the screen, your hand just starts, jumping to ladders, and exactly where to jump and where to shoot and stuff like that. At the risk of getting too heavy,
I've been getting too heavy for 30 years now.
Well, I mean, join the club. I ended up when years ago, about 8 years ago, because it happened right before Finn was born, when my grandmother died, and we were very, very, very close, my grandmother and I, and it was very tough for me because I was out in California, and my grandmother died 10 days before Finn was actually born.
Oh,
which was actually shortly after Finn's expected due date, because he showed up a couple weeks late from his due date.
so no stress at all in your life at that point.
Not even a little bit.
Wow.
But yeah, and she, it was kind of a prolonged thing. It was kind of, it had been dragged out a little bit just from her body breaking down. And, I had a wife who was 9 months pregnant, and so obviously she couldn't fly because grandma was back in Illinois with the rest of my family, and so we could not go to a funeral.
That's rough.
I mean, I could have, if I wanted to abandon my
But I was gonna
9
say,
month
could
pregnant
you really?
wife. Well,
Not really.
boy, I mean, if you think Dana would have been pissed about that, who would have been more pissed about that would have been my grandma.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
decency
obviously,
dictates you could.
obviously, I wasn't going to. Obviously, it
Yeah.
never entered my mind for a second to
Right.
abandon Dana to go anywhere. But it was still incredibly hard. I was crushed, and after that, in those 10 days between grandma dying and we got to rush to the hospital because there's a baby coming out. Boy, oh boy, did I just kind of spend my life in Minecraft. That's what I did for a week and a half, was just basically sit in front of my PC and dig tunnels and explore and just, because it has that calm, gentle music. You can crank the difficulty down to practically nothing, so you're not stressing about stuff.
Yep.
And that's all I did. And that's was basically me just kind of stepping away from the world for, a week and a half until we got to go get this baby out of me right now. and then I was like, okay, let's do it. So
Is that why you and Notch are so close now?
did I talk about this on the show? Because Finn, who is beautiful and I love him to pieces, he's hardcore into Minecraft.
Right.
I noticed.
And it finally happened a couple weeks ago where because it's him and his little buddy, they'll sit on the iPad and play and chat with each other for just every day practically. It finally happened one day. I was walking by Finn's room and I heard him mention Notch, and I was like,
Time to have a talk.
"Hey, buddy," because he's watching a lot of like YouTube streamers now. He watches, there's a couple guys that he watches who are big Minecraft streamers, and he's really into their videos and stuff. And Dana and I have kind of vetted these guys, and they seem, we haven't noticed anything too.
Yeah.
I mean, I say anything too racist, as though a little racism might be fine, but no, we've not noticed anything bad about these guys.
That's not just racism you're looking for.
But
It's not just racism you're looking for.
well,
when you're vetting
obviously
those
not.
people,
But
obviously,
yeah, of
right?
course. I mean, there's a million things, but yeah, the couple guys he seems to be into, they seem actually pretty decent. So it's like, okay, that's cool. But as soon as I heard him mention Notch, I was like, oh, I don't need him going down a hole of that. So yeah, I had a little chat with him. I was like, let me tell you about this guy.
Speaking of terrible people, I watched the Ren and Stimpy documentary this week.
Oh yeah.
Did you watch? I remember you talking about it. Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it. And I'm not really keen on watching it because I know that the guy, is this the Happy Joy one?
Yeah.
I know the guy who created that documentary. He had been working on it for quite some time, and John Kricfalusi, the just downright awful creator of Ren and Stimpy, was not involved in it in any way. And then apparently, like, kind of at the 11th hour, John Kricfalusi agreed to be interviewed for the documentary, and everything I've read about it, it sounds like the dude making the documentary like really eased, because apparently originally it was the documentary was going to go into, hey, you know, this is all the stuff that Kricfalusi has done, and this is why he's so awful. And then it sounds like once Kricfalusi agreed to be interviewed on the record for it, he kind of eased off on the gas in terms of the criticism.
I will say, having watched it,
Yeah.
I think you should watch it.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
I mean, he doesn't spend an hour and a half ramming it down your throat what a terrible person John is.
Right.
But they don't sugarcoat it ever.
Okay.
And there's actually a lot of screen time and interview time given to, I don't want to say his first victim, but the one that sort of broke everything wide open.
Right.
She has quite a voice.
Yeah.
In it too. And it's kind of broken up. It's kind of broken up in the beginning. It's the creation of the show and sort of the success of the show. And, you know, like he's the next Disney and all that sort of thing.
Right.
But it's interviews with a lot of people who worked at Spumco, including his girlfriend at the time that was there when they founded Spumco, but then she also left before the show happened.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of interview time with the Nickelodeon producer that kind of picked the characters. It's really interesting insight.
Yeah.
And the message is really like, by the end of it, especially when they go into the coverage of the Ren and Stimpy adult cartoon, which was god awful.
Oh, boy.
But they actually, the way they handle that, I think, is really great, because that's when they go back to all the Spumco people and even the Nickelodeon people, and they say, see, yeah, it's created, technically the credit created by Kricfalusi, but he wasn't the show.
Right.
Clearly, because when he did it by himself, that's what we got.
It was garbage.
Right.
It was
Right?
absolute
It's
garbage.
like it's definitely
it's like
a piece of a much greater whole.
Bob Camp, I believe, is the animator who's was kind of the
I don't remember the names, but
uncredited. I mean, he was credited certainly, but
you
know, John Kay was the one who got all the press and the interviews, but it was Bob Camp kind of actually back at the studio, kind of making sure that work got done on time and that sort of thing.
For me, the biggest disappointment about how it was handled was, but I mean, I don't know how you could handle it any other way. When the guy did agree to be interviewed, they let him give his non-apology.
Right.
They pointed a camera at him and let him give his non-apology. But if I remember correctly, they even kind of challenged him on that.
Really?
Not harshly.
Right.
But they did, you know, and I really think you should watch it. I would really be interested to hear your opinion on it.
Okay.
It's not as bad as I think you've been led to believe.
Okay.
So
perhaps at some point I will give it a watch. But I will say this: if I'm going to play a Ren and Stimpy video game, I'm going to play it on Sega Genesis, because the Super Nintendo ones are terrible.
There you go.
Apparently the one on the Genesis was pretty good. Listen, CJ.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I saw a tweet that I think we should try to answer.
Go ahead.
From Hacker Alias Grim Grinning Guy, who says, I'm going all digital for the next gen, but there's one thing I'm struggling with: gifts. My son loves to get games for Christmas or birthday.
Yeah.
Do I give him a fake box and download the game, or just go physical for gift games? What do Greg and CJ do? And
that's a good.
I'm just getting ready to go all digital. I will say, for me, you've got more experience with this. For me, though, the only one of my kids who really gets into getting games and playing games a lot is my son. If he goes
Yeah.
up and buys his own game, he'll generally want to buy it physical for now, but
Yeah.
he doesn't mind buying digital. But I mean, he's very used to playing things digitally. He's huge into Game Pass right now. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's just the act of having something new to play for my
How-
kids.
How old
no.
is his son?
He doesn't say.
Okay. Yeah, I mean Finn. I mean, I know he was asking kind of you guys directly just
But
because you're
on the
both
show too.
all well, I mean, but you guys are more all digital
Right.
Yeah.
than I am. I certainly buy more physical games than well, certainly than CJ and I would assume more than Greg.
Definitely. Yeah.
But I mean Finn has no real attachment to physical games. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
we grew up buying physical games because that was the only way you could get games. Finn has grown up, you know, downloading games on
Yep.
an iPhone, you know.
And that's the same with my kids too. I think that's the reason why.
Yeah,
Same
and I
with
mean,
Charlotte.
you know, certainly Finn knows that we have physical games. Like, I mean, you know, he loves, you know, like he's, you know, he played through Pokemon and he played through Zelda and he played through Paper Mario, and that was all off the physical cartridge. But
Yep.
if anything, it was just kind of a pain in the ass for him because it was like, you know, if I popped out the Paper Mario cart to play something else, and then the
And
next
he had
morning
to go find it and put it in.
he wakes up and he's just like, the Paper Mario's up on the shelf. I can't reach it. Dad, come swap the game out for me.
Yeah.
You know?
I do get that it presents a conundrum as far as the physical act of giving something to be unwrapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is
mean,
buying a gift card, a physical.
yeah, because I mean that's just it.
card.
Because a lot of like the big name games, like if you go to like Target or Walmart or something, they will be like, you can buy a Paper
card.
Mario branded gift card that has a download code for that specific game.
Right. Yeah. You could
You
do
know?
it that way, or just buy it digitally and download it on their birthday and let them see
Here,
it on
son,
their system.
watch this progress bar fill up for the next 2 hours. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
other problem is with the size of games these days, it is really you can give them I mean, even if you create an elaborate box that you wrap up and inside is kind of like, oh, there's 20 layers of smaller boxes until you reach the
Done that before.
the gift card.
Yeah.
But even then, it's you punch in the code and
And
it's
I
like,
don't like Steam has a way to gift games. I don't know that any of the consoles really have a great way to like set up
yeah,
gifting a code.
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, then you
Yeah.
do have that, if you do the here's a gift card for you, then it does turn into, now we got to sit around for an hour
Yeah.
while the
Right.
game downloads and installs, and
Yeah.
that's assuming the game is relatively small. It's like,
Very true.
here's your copy of Red Dead Redemption 2. We're gonna hope you don't mind us letting this download overnight and you can play
Yeah.
it on the day after your birthday.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Yeah,
I-
it's a tough thing, and I almost kind of wish that they would allow, like the 3DS, when you downloaded digital games, it would do that little gift unwrapping animation thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They should
yeah,
bring
that's
that back. So that you can...
But yeah, I mean, if
Have that.
if it's a question of, is the kid going to be upset at not
No.
having a physical thing?
I don't think so.
I mean, I would imagine probably not,
No.
because like kids today are used to games being kind of everywhere. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
physical ones you go buy at the store. There's ones you download.
Yeah.
I think you're right. The physical game thing is our generation's hang up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
All right.
there you go.
That a good place to end the episode? I think so.
Do it to it.
Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question or comment on something you would like,
There you go.
reverse it.
Wow.
If you have a comment on, I'm gonna start over. All right.
Hello and welcome to
Hello and
episode.
welcome. Episode 728.
We're doing this in
Alrighty, and that is our
one
show
shot
for this
or
week.
nothing.
Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1 Podcast on the Twitters, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find our contact information. You'll find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Seward.
Yes, I'm still working on the next one. Actually, your best friend Mike's helping me out with some research on that.
There you go. You'll find Generation 16 episodes as well.
Yes, the new episode there is just about half edited. We're halfway through.
And you'll find show notes and links to all the things that we talked about during this episode. And you will even find a link to our Discord server where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you would like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting player1podcast.com or by loading up your favorite podcast listening device. We're also on Stitcher Radio. We're on Spotify. You can like us on Facebook. You can watch video archives of our show or watch us live most weeks on the youtubes.com/P1 Podcast. Follow our Twitter account @P1 Podcast to find out when we are doing our next live show. Usually it's Sunday nights at 5:30 Pacific time or specific time. Either one works, really. Just put it into your alarm system and get notified.
Or 8:30 Eastern.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. And join us for that. If you've liked what you've heard, and how could you can head over to patreon.com/P1 Podcast. Throw a few shekels our way. CJ
Yeah.
needs to get an extension. Needs a new room added onto his house
For his
to
Mario Kart
accommodate
Live?
well to accommodate Mario Kart Live and his new next gen consoles.
Oh, right.
True.
So the PS5 isn't hanging out the window.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Here's my
Good point.
suggestion, CJ.
Yeah.
Position the PS5 on its side.
Yeah.
Build your Mario Kart course on top of that.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then you could use it as a sofa when you're not playing Mario Kart.
Perfect. See, it's all coming together. But you know what, friends? Your Patreon dollars do, of course, help support our show. It helps keep the lights on, helps keeps our Zoom zooming, so we can do these video live shows and all that stuff. And if you are a Patreon supporter of the $5 tier,
Cheap.
of the $5 tier,
I said cheap.
cheap, we're getting it.
It's been so long, I wasn't ready.
We're getting it. You do gain access
I
to
swear
a
this doesn't happen to me.
weekly bonus episode that we record right after this, where we play games, we crack wise, we have fun, we do all those naughty things that we're not allowed to do per FCC regulations on podcasts. We got a game this week, CJ.
we do. We have another Jeopardy.
Oh boy, will
Jeopardy
we win?
game.
Will we lose? Who knows? Please join us for that, won't you, friends? But if you would
One of
like to
these days, someone's just going to come up with a game where they're going to torture us, and we're just
oh yeah,
going to get
I mean,
anything right.
There's been a few.
There've been a few like that.
There have been a
already.
few like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
which
mean, we
I
finished a
encourage
lot of
you to
these
try
games
to stump us.
We finished a lot of these games with negative scores.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
true. That's true.
Absolutely. If you want to a sample of what our post shows sound like, our good friend CJ here has been posting some of our old ones from a couple years ago. They're evergreen. Don't worry about it. They're trivia,
It's true.
little games and stuff. He posts those on Thursday nights on our regular show feed. So check
Yes.
those out if you like what you hear, or if you just again want to help support your 7th or 8th favorite podcast hosts. Here's a swell way to do it.
Yeah.
Hey, and if you have a couple bucks left over, head over to Generation 16.com. You can use that, Greg. That's a
Yeah. Oh,
free jingle for you.
thank you.
Generation-16.com, where you will find Greg Stewart's Outstanding, and it is outstanding, a web series about North America's favorite runner-up, the Sega Genesis, back when the console wars meant something. Damn
right. That's right.
it. Yes.
Rec Games Video Sega.
I was just on there
Rec Games
searching the
Video
archives this week.
Advocacy.
Really?
Yeah. Man,
System
those are good times.
advocacy.
It's always fun when
Remember-
you run across one of your own posts from back then.
Yeah,
Oh,
you remember
man.
when the System Wars were called
Oh,
advocacy?
Boy, I back in those days, I was on Prodigy. I was my internet service was Prodigy, and someone from 3DO somehow tracked down me and my friend. You know my friend Mike.
Yes.
He's your friend too.
Phil's
Yeah.
best friend, Mike.
Yeah. Tracked down like me and Mike's email address and like yelled at us and like threatened us to.
Was it
'cause
Trip Hawkins?
I don't know.
might have
It
been
was
Trip.
some.
He used to do that.
He used
It,
to.
it might have been. And yeah,
I'm just kidding. He didn't yell at us.
you know what it was. No,
No.
but I did have people from 3DO yell at us.
Yeah.
But no, someone from 3DO tracked down our email, contacted us, and threatened us. I forget exactly with what. I forget if it was a legal thing, but because we were talking smack about the 3DO on one of those advocacy boards. You know what we said?
Did he say what?
You were buying a
Did
laser
he-
active?
Did he ask you about your contributions to society?
Your contribution to society is what? Question mark, question mark.
Wow, that's
Well,
a deep cut.
You know
Yeah,
what?
it is.
You know what the big inflammatory thing we said
What?
about the 3DO, the big negative thing we said about the 3DO that we were threatened with and we had to go and apologize for? We said that the M2 add-on would never come out. That was the big thing. That was the big thing.
Wow.
There's no way that's coming out.
funny.
There's
Well,
no
it
way the
didn't.
M2 is
They
never
proved-
coming
They
out.
proved you wrong.
Yeah. But boy,
M2.
some 3DO employee tracking down Prodigy users was very, very grumpy that we had said that the M2 add-on for the 3DO would never come out. Look who was on the right side of history, Mr. 3DO man. I don't
Yeah.
see your fancy M2. I retract my apology.
Oh, there you go.
Jesus.
I formally
Hey.
retract it.
Wait, did you
Hey.
actually apologize?
I don't remember. I don't
Imagine,
remember.
imagine the internet of today. Somebody
know.
apologizing.
Yeah, no
Yes.
kidding.
Sorry, I
Instead-
said the M2's not coming out. I absolutely believe that 3DO will make this thing a reality.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I would really appreciate support for Generation 16. However,
Yeah.
it is that time of year again
Oh,
when we're getting ready for Extra Life.
excellent.
And I would prefer that you go find my page on extra-life.org and make a donation there. Extra Life Marathon is happening on November 7th and 8th. I'm doing Super Nintendo this year because November marks the 30th anniversary of the release of the Super Famicom. Asking people to sponsor 1 hour of the 24-hour stream for a $50 donation where they get to choose a Super Famicom or Super Nintendo game that I'll play for an hour. I've already got 13 hours sponsored, so there's still 11 left. So yeah, head over, find Greg Stewart on extra-life.org and please make a donation. We're at $4,110, I believe, right now of our $10,000 goal. So we're
Okay.
going to try to hit $10,000 again this year, which I believe will be the 4th year in a row if we can do it.
Wow.
All
So yeah, please consider that, and please consider coming and watching the stream on November 7th and 8th.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Please go support Greg. Help out the kids, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Right.
It's that time of year.
Especially this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
They don't need it any less.
Yeah, seriously. Well, very cool. And I guess that's it, right?
Yeah.
CJ,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil.
Gregory,
Yo.
thank you as well. And thank you for your continued support with Extra Life. You're
Thank
doing
you,
some
Philip.
some wonderful, wonderful things for
appreciate it.
the kids there. And of course, thank you to our excellent listeners, each and every one of you. You are fantastic. And I mean
It's
that.
true.
I mean
It's
that.
true.
I mean that. I won't apologize for that. Let me tell you, unless some jackass from 3DO decides to get all uppity about it.
Mm.
But take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Wear a mask, for crying out loud. You know, let's just take care of you and your friends and your family, for goodness sake. And we'll see all of you next week.
Bye-bye.